Miami's boss is Joe Philbin. Third year's head coach Laura Oatman's with the Atlanta head coach Mike Smith down on the field.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, Coach, there was talk that maybe Julio Jones was going to play tonight. He's not. What went into the decision of holding him out?
Well, we've got a prescription in terms of the number of snaps we want him to get running up to the start of the season, and we're going to stay by that prescription, and it was decided that we're going to work on the second and third preseason game. That's our goal right now.
Okay, for the guys who are playing tonight, the starters, how much typical action do you like them to get in the first game?
Well, the offensive line will get about 20 to 25 snaps. The quarterback and the skilled guys probably 15. Roddy will get about 8.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck tonight. Stay healthy. Thank you. Guys, back up to you.
Thank you, Laura. Of course, Mike Smith, 60 wins in his previous seasons. Here is the boss of the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, we all know about the 4-12. Miami was 8-8. They had some disappointments too because they were in position to make the playoffs. Matt Bosher is in position to get this thing started. Miami dropped the last 3 games of last season to fail to make the playoffs. Marcus Thigpen back deep to return. He did the bulk of the work in the return game for the Dolphins last season. So Bosher is ready. The Falcons will first line up on defense, barring a turnover here. We're underway in the 2014 preseason as Thigpen moves up to take it and bring it out of the end zone. Falcons special teams converge on him inside the 30-yard line. He goes down at about the 28 as Antone Smith. Anytime you say special teams, you might automatically say Antone Smith. Ryan Tannehill brings his offense out. Tannehill is a guy that they are counting on heavily, and why wouldn't they? Because he's had a couple of good years, over 7,000 yards passing, and that's the 5th most ever in the first 2 years of quarterback careers in NFL history.
Last time the Falcons saw Tannehill, he threw a touchdown pass with 38 seconds left in Game 3 a year ago to beat the Falcons.
And Tannehill to throw. We'll talk a little bit about their new offense and their new coordinator as this game develops. Lamar Miller is the target and makes the reception for a gain of 5 yards. Let's take a look at our Bud Light lineups here. And we start, of course, with, since they have the ball, the Miami offense. The rookie, Jawan James from Tennessee and North Gwinnett High School here in Metro Atlanta is a guy they hope can make a huge difference for them on the offensive line. And it's Hartline, Miller, Clay, Gibson, and Landry as far as the receiving core and running backs. They run the spread a lot, and they're trying to pick up the first down on the ground here with Miller, and Miller did not get it. The Falcons will line up defensively, and boy, we're going to have to pay close attention to that tonight after a gain of 2 on that play because Mike Nolan's been running a whole lot of fronts. Bierman Babineau on the ends and Jackson Soliai in the middle. The 2 rookies from last year, second-year guys now, of course, Bartu Warlow at linebacker, and in the secondary, Des Southward in there, William Moore at safety, Josh Wilson, Robert Alford, Desmond Trufant. Nickel defense, and that's what we're going to see a lot of on a 3rd down and 2 here for Miami as Tannehill looked to his left, completes it over the middle. Looks like he got the first down to Rashard Matthews.
That's an area Atlanta wants to be better in on 3rd down. Part of the reason this Falcon team went out to get the size, Soliai, Jackson, Hegman, they got those guys to create tougher situations on 3rd down. That means you need to win on 1st and 2nd down. It can't be 3rd and 2. Too easy a completion there for Tannehill.
They needed 2. They got 4. So the ball is on the Miami 39. There's Tannehill after the fake out to his right and the completion. That's a gain of about 8 yards to Brandon Gibson.
Boy, interesting play that time. Miami running an option play off of the zone read. You're going to get a zone read fake. Tannehill looking at the edge. He pulls it, realizes Bierman's down inside. Now his second option is to throw the football. Third option to run the ball. So a little wrinkle there put in by Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator, because of Tannehill's athleticism.
Well, he's 3 for 3 for 18 yards thus far in this game and hands it off this time, trying to go over the left side, and the Falcon defense rises up, pun intended, and stops it right there for a very short gain. Lamar Miller got a yard.
Again, this is the perfect scenario if you're a play caller. Bill Lazor is in a 3rd and short situation, again, much like he was in the first 3rd down conversion. Now even shorter, less than 1 here for Miami to try to convert. Now this is a chance for Atlanta to try to get off the field here, maybe against the run game.
He's got 3 receivers right. that hands it off. That's a first down into Falcons territory at about the 47-yard line.
Good penetration by Paul Soliai. Soliai's right there in the middle of the Falcon defense and shoots through, but Massaquoi can't close from the backside in time to make the stop on a 3rd and 1, and that's why it's a great scenario as a play caller. 3rd and 1, very easy for a guy to fall forward for a first down. Need to put him in longer yardage situations and conversion downs.
Massaquoi came out. Robert McLean, checked into the secondary. That pass is completed to Miller over there on the sideline for a couple of yards.
Well, this is an area that they're trying to get somebody to step up and be that big-time back for him. Lamar Miller played at the University of Miami. He's an outstanding player, but he seemed to juggle the football as he was headed to the ground. Tannehill puts the ball on him pretty quickly in the flat. Now Miller can't seem to secure the ball. Did it squeeze out of there? He certainly held it at the end of the catch, but hard to tell from that angle if does the ball touch the ground. But they're going to let it go. They didn't have enough there to flip it. The Falcons didn't challenge it.
John Perry and his crew decide to let him play after the completion, if you will. And wide open down at the 25-yard line is Matthews inside the Falcons' 10.
Well, an excellent route by Matthews. It's a zone control route where he's going to get inside the line, just behind the linebackers. Warlow loses him in coverage. Number 55, Matthews squeezes it, gets up the field, and William Moore, the safety, has to make the tackle. But an excellent read by Tannehill against the zone. No pressure on Tannehill right now.
Well, he's 5 for 5 for 56 yards, so he is enjoying his first possession of the 2014 preseason, no question. And on the ground, stretching for the 5-yard line was Miller.
Well, it'll sound like a broken record here, Randy, here early, certainly on this drive, but it's success on first down for Miami is what's dictating this drive. He's putting his quarterback, Bill Lazor's putting his quarterback in very manageable situations, and another nice pickup for Miller.
Again, McLean in, Massaquoi out, and this is the 10th play of this Miami drive. We're at the 10-minute mark of the first quarter. Tannehill to a wide open Brandon Gibson for a Miami touchdown. That's a 6-yard score, and Arch, that looked too easy.
Well, and not anywhere near the way the Falcons wanted to start. Did not win on 1st and 2nd down, and subsequently were on their heels the entire drive. And really, Bill Lazor did a nice job of calling that opening drive against the Falcon defense.
That drive, by the way, covered 82 yards, as you see how wide open Gibson was. Now, if you're saying, wait a minute, what are they doing? It's not a field goal attempt. It's the extra point, first 2 games of the preseason. They'll spot it. So it essentially is a 33-yard field goal, and that kick is good. So the Dolphins have taken a 7-0 lead as the Falcons offense hopes to even things up when we come back. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football. The Falcons find themselves trailing 7-0. Arch, Brandon Gibson caught 3 touchdown passes in the regular season last year. Picked up one there on a drive that covered 73 yards. And the 6-yard touchdown play from Tannehill puts Miami up. Back deep for the Falcons, both Jaquiz Rogers and Devin Hester. He, the holder of multiple NFL return records. Hester's going to get a shot at this one as he comes out to about the 2 and takes it. At the 20, too much traffic and down inside the 25. Of course, the Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan, his first action of the preseason, first possession. He hopes certainly he can do what Tannehill did and get some productivity in however many snaps he takes tonight. His 13 quarterback rating last year, not where he wanted to be, 14th. But when you consider he was sacked 44 times and was under duress a great deal of time, Arch,
well, when
that
you look,
wasn't bad.
Yeah, you look at his numbers, as bad as the season was, 3rd in completions, 4th in completion percentage, 4th in yards, 9th in touchdowns. He did some good stuff last year as well.
Got DeMarco and Rogers behind him, and this is Jaquiz Rogers. Hesitates, and not all is lost, but not much is gained either. Up to the 25-yard line. Our Bud Light lineups, let's take a look at those for you after the 2-yard gain by Quiz Rogers. Veterans across the front, Baker, Blaylock, Hawley, new face, although a veteran, John Asamoah, and the rookie right tackle Jake Matthews. Harry Douglas, Patrick DeMarco, the fullback, Quiz Rogers, Levine Toilolo trying to step in there in place of, although that's unfair to say, Tony Gonzalez. And as we mentioned, Roddy White in the lineup for the Atlanta Falcons. Gain of 1 there, 2nd and 9. Ryan from the shotgun over the middle. Harry Douglas, 85 catches last season, and his first of the game right there tonight, up over the 40-yard line. Donnell Ellerbe, the former Georgia Bulldog, dropped back into coverage but couldn't keep Douglas and Ryan from hooking up for a 17-yard gain. Cameron Wake, Randy Starks, Earl Mitchell, Olivier Vernon, he of the 11.5 sack season last year across the front. Ellerbe from Georgia, Koamisi, and Philip Wheeler from Georgia Tech. A familiar name in the secondary, Brent Grimes, he of the 4-year, $32 million contract, by the way. And here's Quiz Rogers with some room up to the 45 and barely over the 45-yard line before he's taken down by Ellerbe, who's been busy so far.
Boy, excellent job that time. Joe Holly, the center for the Atlanta Falcons, pulls out in front, gets the block. Looked like maybe on Koamisi, and that allowed Quiz Rogers to get up the field. This is a very athletic offensive line. Let's look at that play. 61 Joe Holly. Watch him turn his eyes back to the inside, get the block right there just enough on Koamisi where Quiz Rogers was able to get up the field and pick up 4 yards. So nice job. The athleticism on this offensive line is very good.
Here's Rogers again, who started 4 games, played in 15 last season, gets the handoff, and he and Ellerbe meet again. So it's going to set up about 3rd and 2 for the Falcons.
Well, and here's where you want to be. We talked about Miami having those 3rd and short situations. This is where you want to be as a play caller. Now, the Falcon offensive line has got to be able to dictate up front that you can run it and throw it in this situation. Miami showing that all blitz, all up look. 2 guys in the A gap on either side of the center. They bail out now.
Well, Ryan got it off and has it completed to Roddy White for a first down.
Now Roddy ran the little control route. Miami bailed back to a zone coverage. Roddy White at the top of your screen, going to go just inside, hook inside the corner. Ryan on the same page with the receiver, puts the ball on him quickly, and that's what extends the drive. Those 2 guys have been on the same page for a long time.
We got Douglas to the left this time and White to the right. Toilolo tucked in tight. Matt Ryan steps up, steps through some pressure and completes it. And here goes Antone Smith down inside the 15-yard line. But a flag.
Illegal formation offense. Number 83 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Will replay. First down.
That's one that's hard to swallow, because when you're a receiver, you ask the official to the side, am I on the line? And he'll say yes or no. There's Harry right there. And he's obviously not on the line of scrimmage, but he asked the official, am I on the line? So that's a mistake that can't happen. This is a team that was penalized 91 times a year ago, Randy, after in 2012, the 13-3 season, only 55 penalties. Actually set an NFL record low, 415 yards of penalties in 2012.
You saw Mike Smith talking to wide receivers coach Terry Robisky there, so it's 1st and 15 now for the Falcons as Ryan looks to throw again and completes it to Toilolo.
Now, Levine Toilolo, we talked about the big kid from Stanford now, big shoes to fill. He's 6'8", and he's a big guy, but I don't know if he can fill the shoes of Gonzalez. And really, it's not fair to ask him to do that, Randy.
No, not at all.
I mean, but he does have to do some of the same things. The big body, he's got to present himself in the red zone. He's got to give Ryan some opportunities there. And those kind of catches, those 5, 6, 7-yard catches are something he's going to have to perform at a high level.
Antone Smith in the backfield alongside Ryan, who has 2 receivers left, and White to the right. He looks right and is not going to be able to unload it, as there's a flag down, as Ryan was down as well in the arms of Koamisi.
Yeah, this is that illegal contact here. They're going to be much more sensitive with this, and I think this is going to get called on the defender playing Toilolo.
Illegal contact. Defense. Number 25. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Louis Delmas, the safety, flag for illegal contact. Last night, Mike Pereira reported this today. The 6 games last night, 25 defensive holding calls and 9 illegal contacts called in just the 6 games last night.
I was about to say John Perry and his brethren in stripes are going to be very busy in the preseason until players adjust to this situation. Ryan handing off Rogers. Stop, start, going again. That helped him pick up 3 or 4 there, I guess.
Boy, and Koamisi is picking up some of his laundry.
Yeah.
This was an unbelievable move. We've seen Quiz Rogers do that since he's been here out of Oregon State. He's a small player. It's hard to find him with your eyes, but he has outstanding quickness in short spaces. And that time he made Koamisi look bad as he made him miss.
Koamisi saw a Lamborghini for a moment, but then it was there and gone. 2nd and 6, gain of 4, and they will go with Rogers again, but absolutely nothing doing this time. Randy Starks living in the backfield right there. They hope, the Falcons do, that this guy, Steven Jackson, can get better here during the preseason and the exhibition season and training camp and be ready for the opener against New Orleans.
Well, Steven has had a great career. Had a great career in St. Louis, but just hasn't done very much here. Had a pretty good close to the season the last 6 games. I think all 6 of those touchdowns came in the final 6 games of the year.
The 9th play of the drive is a 3rd and 8 situation for Ryan, who dumps it in the middle, and it looks like it's caught right off the turf by Roddy White. If anybody can scoop it like Andrelton Simmons, it's Roddy White.
Well, I'm sorry, Randy. Roddy really understands where the sticks are. He rarely does he catch the ball short of the sticks on 3rd down, and this is what he does again. Just shoots it up the field, hooks up, and is available for his quarterback. See Ryan look off the safety, make sure there's a good area in there to throw it to Roddy, throws it low, Roddy goes down, squeezes it, 1st down.
Matt Ryan's 4 for 4 and 38 yards, 12 on that last completion. As we wind inside 4 minutes in the first quarter, and Rogers winds his way through the Dolphin defense. Not a 1st down, but almost down to the 20-yard line before Koamisi tackles him, a 7-yard gain.
Well, let's look at this big offensive line. You see Jake Matthews and Asamoah block out. We're able to create a crease in there. Joe Hawley pins the linebacker to the inside, and a nice crease. Maybe their best run so far tonight, running off that right side between their 2 new players.
As we're well aware, less than 78 yards a game on the ground in the regular season last year, and they need to correct that. Here's Ryan going left, getting Roddy White, spins away for a moment from the defender near the 1st down marker. Cortland Finnegan, the veteran, the free agent signed from the St. Louis Rams by this Miami team.
Well, the key for Roddy is to be sudden. You want to make it look like you're coming off the ball and you're running down the field. You're running that hitch route, which is only a 6-yard route. You've got to make it look like you're running the go. So he does a great job of being sudden, and then he gets his numbers to the quarterback, and Ryan puts it on him for an easy 1st down.
Well, that catch by Roddy put the Falcons into the forward drive zone, and now they, of course, will try to finish it off with 6. Trailing 7-0 here in the first quarter. Antone Smith behind that offensive line to get in the neighborhood of the 15-yard line. Got a couple of yards.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch Antone Smith get an opportunity to play, number 35 for the Atlanta Falcons. Played a little bit last year at running back. He's a special teams ace for Mike Smith's team. He caught a pass here earlier that he took down inside the 10-yard line, was called back on a penalty. But Antone, probably the most explosive back the Falcons have, and that includes their 4th-round draft pick, Devontae Freeman.
In this package, we see Devin Hester in there along with Harry Douglas and Roddy White on his 2nd and 8 for the Falcons. From the 15, quickly to Antone Smith. Got a nice block on the outside, and he's down at the 10-yard line. That's going to be about 2.5 yards shy of the 1st down. Jared Odrick working his way back there from his defensive line position to make the tackle.
Well, we've seen the Falcons through the years. Falcon fans have seen them use different tempos. We've seen faster pace. We've even seen them work slower. This is one of those, you're huddling. You've got some new players. This is your opening drive. You're trying to get everybody on the same page. So the pace kind of matches where they are from maturity levels in offense.
So far, both quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill and Matt Ryan, perfecto. No drops, no misfire. And he's trying to keep that streak alive. A flag is down. That is a misfire. We'll see what John Perry's crew, how they decipher this situation. Devin Hester was over there in the area, if you will. Roddy White's litigating. It may be preseason, but White's right there to figure out what's going on.
I thought Matt had an opportunity to get the ball to Harry Douglas there for the first down.
There's 2 fouls on the
two-man
play.
round.
They'll offset. Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face. Defense, number 20. Holding, offense, number 70. They'll offset. We'll replay. 3rd down.
Going to replay it. The Miami penalty was on Rashad Jones, and news just came down today. Rashad Jones will miss the first 4 games of the season because of PEDs. Another player from Miami. We know Deion Jordan will miss the first 4 games, and now they're starting safety Rashad Jones out for the first 4 games of the season.
So now on a repeat of the down, as you heard John Perry say, the penalties offset. The Falcons are on the 10-yard line, and Ryan looking to the middle again. Roddy White cannot escape, and there's another flag down. This one in the backfield, and this might have been some hands around the face of Matt Ryan. I'm not sure.
Personal foul, roughing the passer.
Yep.
Defense, number 52, half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Well, Deion Jordan, I just talked about Deion. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season because he tested positive for the PEDs. Number 95 coming in off the far side, but he's not the guy that's flagged. It's actually number 52, Philip Wheeler, former Georgia Tech linebacker. Hit Ryan in the side of the face on that quick throw to Roddy White.
And this year, really any contact to the face is going to get that. That's another point of emphasis in the rules this year. Jaquiz Rogers looking for the goal line and got it.
Well, another indication of how strong Quiz is. Even though he's a small player, outstanding leg drive and strength. Joe Hawley gets beat on this play. Number 91 is driven into the backfield by Mitchell. But just look at the leg drive of Quiz Rogers to run through the tackle of Odrick and get in the end zone. So he actually scored in spite of what happened to him up front.
If you're wondering, between 30 and 40 yards last year, the field goals that is, Matt Bryant was 7 of 8. So this is the equivalent of a 33-yard field goal under the preseason rules. And are we going to take a look to see if he was across the line or what?
Well, the officials trying to get their steps and pace as well.
Well, we'll give them some time to figure this thing out. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW 69. Quiz Rogers, the man in the middle on the right. Dirk Cutter, Chris Selfo, offensive staff of Atlanta, Joe Philbin on the left, and we're waiting to see if they indeed think that Jaquiz Rogers had his knee in there as they take a look at a couple different angles.
Yeah, the key is definitive shot, and there was no definitive shot, so it's a touchdown. Quiz Rogers punches it in for the Falcons. So both offenses really have come out and operated here to start the game.
Yeah, the only people unhappy so far are defensive coaches and defensive players. And Arch is an ex-quarterback. You don't care.
That's great. I love it.
Right. That drive was over 9 minutes. 9 minutes and 16 seconds. And again, here's Bryant from the preseason distance for extra points in at least the first 2 preseason games from 33 out with Matt Bosher to hold after the snap from Josh Harris. And Bryant is true, so we are now even at 7-7 at the 45-second mark of the first quarter, and we'll get another look at the Falcons defense. Jaquiz Rogers, the 4th-year guy from Oregon State, talking to Anton Smith on the sideline there about the play that got him in the end zone. It went 15 plays, meaning the drive, 77 yards, and over 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Matt Bosher.
You overcame a penalty there, too, that negated a big play by Anton Smith, so great drive.
Jarvis Landry is the man returning the kick for the Dolphins, and he is planted. He is planted by Robert McLean as he tries to give the Dolphins some field position. We've mentioned how tough 13 was. Started 1-4, none of those losses by more than a touchdown. Julio Jones injured in week 5 in that disappointing loss to the Jets. He missed the next 11 games. Matt Ryan went down, sacked 44 times, most in one season for him. Mike Smith and the Falcons finished 4-12, and they are looking to erase that as they move forward here in 2014. 39 seconds left in the first quarter. Mike Gillislee is the running back for the Dolphins, who takes the handoff there as he moves to his right.
Well, as we try to flush 2013 out of our mind, it reminds us of how good Atlanta was in 2012. And there's the differential. The sacks obviously glaring. The turnover margin huge. And the fact -7. But you can see the scoring margin down. Obviously, the record is what it turned out to be. But a team that really was in games late as well. A team that had a chance to win some games, even though all the injuries and the poor play from guys they expected to step up, still had an opportunity.
Well, Ryan Tannehill must have the same agent as David Archer. He's done for the night. Seth Lobato will be running the Dolphin offense when we come back, because we're done with the first quarter. Back to the Georgia Dome after these messages. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. Rookie quarterback Seth Lobato with a 2nd down and 4 as we begin the second quarter of play. And the Dolphins test the middle of that Falcons line with Mike Gillislee. As I say, we just completed that first quarter, and Arch, some highs, some lows for the Falcons, I guess you could say.
Well, the lows were the defense. Came out, did not play well in the opening drive. Excellent job by Tannehill to get the ball in the end zone there. And then, of course, Ryan had to hold serve. A couple of key throws on 3rd down, and then Quinn Rogers punches it in to even this game at 7 apiece.
That's a look at our north side first quarter highlights in the 7-7 game here with 14.5 remaining in the second quarter, and Miami with a 3rd and 2. And needless to say, I guess the Falcons' first unit defense is still in there, and the Falcons' first unit defense did the job that time. You saw Bierman in there, Kamal Ismail, and with the absence of Dwight Lowry, he's playing with the first unit guys right now.
Well, just a good job by Bierman to play off the block by Jawan James, the #1 draft pick for Miami, number 72. Can't get Bierman blocked. Bierman cuts off the lane for the back, and then a number of Falcons rally to help make that stop on 3rd and short. Big play there for the Falcon defense after being pushed around on the opening drive.
Well, Brandon Fields is back inside his 20-yard line to punt it away for the Dolphins. Made his first Pro Bowl last season. Devin Hester. No fair catch. Oh, he lost the handle on it. Looks like Miami recovered the fumble. It was a 42-yard punt, but it looks like the Dolphins offense will be coming back on the field.
Well, this is why Devin Hester was brought here. His ability to make plays in special teams. Obviously has had a great career as a return guy, but cannot lay the ball down on the ground, as we see what's happening on the field with a penalty flag as the officials conferring.
Holding, kicking team, number 90, 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down. Timeout.
Well, as we said, Hester holds a lot of records, but did not hold the ball that time. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. Now, the flag occurred after the ball came off the foot of Brandon Fields.
On the previous punt, there was a return and a fumble, and the fumble was recovered by the kicking team. Therefore, by rule, the offensive hold on the kicking team will be enforced from the previous spot, 10 yards, and will replay 4th down.
Well, we talk about
we
talk about preseason, and we concentrate so much on the player. It's preseason for the officials as well. That was obviously the head official did not realize the ball had changed possession after Hester's fumble. He thought that that the Falcons had maintained possession. So simply go back. The Falcons did not have possession of the ball while the hold occurred. So you go back and you just re-kick the ball.
Well, the guy who's returned 13 punts for touchdowns in his career may get another chance here.
Well, he'll get another shot at it. But there's been so much talk around the town about Atlanta expanding the third part of what they do, and that's the kicking game. We need bigger plays in the kicking game. Well, you got to hang on to the football, or the bigger plays are going to result for the other team. And so Devin, even though he's got an unbelievable resume of returning, got to squeeze the football or not going to be able to put him back there.
So Hester again standing after the ball is spotted back at the 21, standing just outside his 35. And we have another whistle before the snap. Maybe they should call New York. That's one of the changes this year, and a very controversial thing they can. That's not going to happen here, we know, but now we're ready. Fields just outside his 5. No pressure, and here's Hester. Hesitation, flag down, running out of room, out of bounds at about the 27 or 28 yard line with a flag here on the near side. It was a 50-yarder in the air.
Well, this usually means the Falcons
During the
are
return,
holding a
holding.
block.
Return team number 23, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Robert Alford, the man who was guilty of the infraction. So the Falcons will start deeper in their own territory at the 17-yard line. The Flash is the new fall show. Critics are raving about it. Premieres October 7th right here on Atlanta's CW69. October 7th, The Flash. There's Alford on the left side of your screen, and Mike Smith discussing the situation.
Remember when I said if you drop punts standing deep and the other team gets them, a lot of times you don't get a chance to do it anymore? If this crew doesn't get their act together, they're not going to get a chance to do this very long either.
Yeah. We've got a new quarterback here, the former Pope Greyhound, North Carolina Tar Heel, and Houston Texan, T.J. Yates, in there for the first time under center for the Falcons. And he hands it off to Antone Smith, same man who did a lot of the work when Matt Ryan was playing quarterback. TJ, of course, acquired via trade with Houston.
Well, TJ's a cool story because he's a local kid. Pope High School, East Cobb County. So he's a local kid, record-setting quarterback at North Carolina, as you mentioned, but a lot of firsts. He was the guy that won the first playoff game in Houston Texan history as a starter as a rookie. So this guy's played in some big games.
And the first start of his career, by the way, came against the Atlanta Falcons a couple of years ago, knocked away and a flag down on the incomplete pass. Busy again are the guys in the stripes.
A little collision. DeMarco trying to release out of the backfield. A little collision there as T.J. Yates was trying to get him the football.
Holding, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That look says it all on the Miami sideline.
I think if you put Mike Smith standing right next to Joe Philbin, it'd be the same look on their face.
Okay, after it's all sorted out, 1st and 10 on the 24-yard line with T.J. Yates in at quarterback for the Falcons, and again handing off. And oh, look at daylight, and this might go. This might go. Antone Smith cruising to 76 yards. And a flag, by the way, and it's against the offense.
10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
No, I didn't catch the number. The official didn't give me the number there, but the play's going to come back. Antone is going to take the football on a delay handoff here. And it looks like maybe the hold was right there on the edge. Was it Jake? Did Jake get called for the hold, number 70? Might have. But this is an idea of what Antone Smith can do. He's got great speed. I said from the top, he's the most explosive running back they have, and that includes Devontae Freeman, who they took from the same school, Florida State, this year in the 4th round. They've got to find a way to get this guy in the game and get him the football. Now, it's unfortunate it comes back, and I think it's probably going to be a hold on Jake Matthews right there. But Antone Smith already has shown on 2 plays. He's had 2 plays called back, worth about 100 yards tonight, a reception and now a run. The guy's explosive, got to be in the game.
Walt Aikens, a rookie defensive back from Liberty, is the guy that was schooled by Antone. Of course, it will not go into the books. Josh Vaughn is in the backfield for the Falcons now alongside T.J. Yates, and after the penalty, it's 1st and 20. Nearly picked off, intended for the tight end Toilolo.
Yeah, that's one that TJ got away with. He looked at Toilolo all the way and really was fortunate it was well picked off. Toilolo just running a little control route, hook it up, but Yates' eyes are on Toilolo all the way, and Miami almost intercepted that play. Will Davis closing the third round draft pick from a year ago.
First incompletion of the night, by the way. 2nd and 20 now. Draw. Up the middle, Vaughn.
Let's take a look at Jake Matthews, number 70. Didn't get his feet set there and got knocked to the ground. His job was just to try to take the edge player out of the play, but you'd certainly not like, you don't want to be the nail. You'd rather be the hammer.
That family's done plenty of hammering, and hopefully Jake is going to do more than his share. Here's a Falcon on 3rd and 13. Yates has time and has a completion. That might be, however, just shy of the first down to Courtney Roby.
Well, and a veteran receiver, but he's a special teams player. Courtney Roby, one of the best special teamers in the game. But we talked about Roddy, and he knows where the sticks are. Now, Roby's got to work back to the football anytime you run a curl route, but you got to find a way to get beyond the 6. Here's Jake Matthews blocking, trying to keep somebody off of Yates. Big Terrence Fede rushing against Jake Matthews. So kind of a tough series of downs there for the number 1 draft pick. The holding penalty brought the play back and then pushed down a little bit.
Fede, by the way, is also a rookie from Marist. No, not the high school in Atlanta. It's a college in New York. 62-yard punt. 62 yards from Bosher, but the return does have Miami, barring a flag. Back up over the 30-yard line here at the 33. That's where the Dolphins will take over after a 28-yard return. We just saw him in live action. Falcons first-round pick, 6th overall. Jake Matthews, consensus All-American, Texas A&M, blocked for Johnny Football, member of the famed Matthews football family, son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Bruce Matthews. 4 first-round picks in the Matthews family. It's incredible. Talk about having roots of the family tree in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, his grandpa,
it doesn't get much better.
His grandpa, Clay Sr., was a 25th round draft pick for the 49ers. Actually had to go to war, went to the Korean War. But his dad is one of the great players of all time, 14-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer. And I think when it's all said and done, we may be saying some of the same things about this guy.
Here's Lobato, the rookie, still at quarterback for Miami, handing it off to Damian Williams. Let's go down on the sideline. Laura Oakman and Roddy White.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, Roddy, the first thing everyone's going to say who didn't see this game tomorrow is, how did the Falcons offense look? So I want you to play a little Monday morning quarterback during the game and evaluate how the starters looked in offense.
I think we got off to a good start. We wanted to get off to a good start. Got a 10-play drive going. I didn't think it was going to be that long, But we did some good things in that drive. Got a couple penalties we can, kind of get rid of. But other than that, man, it was pretty good. It was nice.
Most guys believe in kind of quietly going into a season, especially with you and Julio coming off of big injuries. You, on the other hand, do not understand, I guess, the notion of easing in and decided to declare that you will both have 1,500 yards this season, something no duo has ever done in NFL history. Are you just feeling that good after looking how you guys are right now?
We're just going off potential, man. We know what we could do, both of us, out here on the field, and if we could just stay healthy for 16 games, we could put up numbers that could be really big. So, we're going to go through it and go through the preseason, sharpen our edge, our swords and stuff like that, and we're going to get ready to take off, September 7th.
Hold on one second, Roddy. Back up to you, Randy. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Roddy. 3rd and 7, and Miami comes up short. Rashard Matthews of getting the first down. Well, that's the tandem. Arch, arguably the best in the business.
Yeah, when they're playing at the highest level and they're not injured like they were a year ago, they're the best 2 wide receivers that will line up on the same team in the league.
Here we go again. Miami in punt formation. Devin Hester deep. The Dolphin offense has stalled under Lobato after Tannehill left. Here's Hester with some daylight this time. Little hesitation. over toward the sideline. And there's the NFL record holder flashing a little bit of his form as the Falcons in good field position with 10:04 in the second quarter. 7-7. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW 69. Got some new faces in there along with TJ Yates, who is still at quarterback. New offensive line. We'll run down some of those names for you as the evening develops here in the second quarter with the Falcons and Dolphins tied 7-7. And it's Atlanta's ball at their own 40-yard line. And here's Yates with some time, lofting down the right side. Ebert, the reception, Jeremy Ebert, and a flag down. First time we've seen 7 out there tonight.
This has got to be offensive pass interference. Looked like Ebert extended his arms to create separation. Makes a spectacular catch.
Pass interference offense. Number 7, 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
Watch the hand extend. See, just a little push, and they're really sensitive to that
Boy,
stuff
they
right
are,
now.
aren't they? Okay. I didn't think it was a touchy-feely sport, but evidently it is.
Evidently. Ebert's had a good camp, too. It's been fun to watch him. He was a 7th-round draft pick back in 2012 for New England. Played on a couple practice squads. Spent some time with Jacksonville a year ago. That was a big-time catch he just made.
Played his college football at Northwestern, but after the penalty, it's 1st and 20. Yates rolling right. Plenty of time. Knocked away from Julian Jones. Okay, let's go back down and let's learn some more from 84, Laura.
I know normally we let Roddy go, but we wanted to just keep him for another minute and talk about this contract extension because every Falcon knows the incredible journey Roddy has been on since he's been in Atlanta, going from people calling you a first-round bust to now all of a sudden becoming a Falcon for life, signing this extension. I know how much this journey and this evolution has meant to you. What is this contract extension and this commitment mean?
It meant a lot, just knowing that they want me to be here, for the rest of my career. And just, this is like my home now. I've been here, going on 10 years. And that's all I want to do is be a Falcon. And I was so happy we got the contract done, before we got to training camp and didn't have to worry about any of that so I could just go out there and play football.
Would this Roddy White even recognize that young kid who came in and liked to party, liked to stay out all night, roll into practices?
No. I mean, a lot has changed, since then. I've grown up a lot, man. And, I just realized you only get so many opportunities in this game, especially to win a lot of games and put yourself in playoff position and things like that. So, it was just learning those things and how hard it is, to just actually make it to the playoffs. I just want to just tune myself into football and just try to get this team to the playoffs and, try to get to the Super Bowl.
I love your journey. Now you're really done with us. Goodbye. And guys, back up to you.
Well, Roddy is a guy, it won't be very long after he's done playing that one of his banner with his name and his number will be hanging in the rafters. He's right now the greatest receiver that's ever played for as a Falcon.
Devontae Freeman, the rookie from Florida State, over the right side as we hit the 9-minute mark here in the second quarter, a gain of 9 on the ground. Jason Trusnick.
Yeah, this has not been a very good series of downs so far. While we were talking to Roddy there, Ryan Schrader, and this has been a little bit of a theme that's bothered Mike Smith a little bit, is the offensive line, some of the combative nature you're trying to promote from a fighting standpoint. Well, you want to fight while between the whistles, not after the whistle. Ryan Schrader got flagged for 15 yards right there, and that won't sit well with his coach. You got to have controlled aggression, block to the back edge of the whistle, but it can't cost you 15 yards.
Here's Matt Bosher, whose 41.1 net last year was in the top 10 in the National Football League. Jarvis Landry inside his 25, has a seam, needs to beat Bosher. Bosher did some damage and enough to keep it from going for 6, but not enough to keep it from giving Miami great field position. Jaquiz Rogers was down there to force him toward the sideline and out of bounds.
Well, that's an excellent play by the youngster from LSU. He's an explosive player, doesn't have great speed. He's really quick. And then when he steps through, excellent play by Bosher, as you said, Randy, just to take something out of him to allow some of the Falcon defenders to rally and get to him. But this is a kid they're really excited about in Miami. That's kind of been a nondescript group down there. There's a wide receiver corps recently. And I think Jarvis Landry is going to be a big part of what they'll be on offense this year.
51-yard punt by Bosher, but 48-yard return. That net 3 is not where you want to go with those statistics. Damian Williams was a fake to him, and then Lovato throwing it to Kevin Cone. Sound familiar? Former Falcon, former Georgia Tech player.
Outstanding special teams player for the Falcons was Kevin Cone, in now playing on offense. There's Javier Arenas, one of the new additions to the Atlanta Falcon secondary. Guy that brings a wealth of experience, also has the ability to return. Will play some fifth defensive back for this team and some backup corner.
2nd and 1. And Williams is trapped in the backfield and taken down by Jonathan Massaquoi.
Need to see more of this kind of stuff this year. Jonathan Massaquoi is at point in his career now where it's not a surprise what's coming at him. He's played enough over his first 2 seasons where you see him win, defeat the block, and show the explosiveness, and that's where really his strength lies, is he's got explosive ability to get up the field. He's put a little bit more size on this year. I think he's going to be a little bit tougher at the point of attack, but he's the guy you're hoping is going to round in to be a big-time pass rusher.
TFL for 94. Tackle for loss of 5. And so Lovato on 3rd down, and it's caught inside the 6-yard line. No, incomplete, out of bounds.
Well, Kevin Cone just couldn't seem to get his feet down. Working against Robert McLean here, really a pretty good, well-thrown ball. Bobby Mack got a little twisted around there, and Cone just could not get the right foot down. 1 foot down, that's good at Georgia Tech, but not here in the Georgia Dome with Miami.
Well, with all due respect, it might also be good if you're talking about a guy who's a full-time receiver instead of a special teams guy.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, Kevin trying to fight to make this team.
Danny Bratman, who was signed about 48 hours ago by the Dolphins because Caleb Sturgis has a groin injury. This is a 42-yard field goal attempt to try and give Miami the advantage, and Bratman wraps it through. So it's 10-7 Dolphins. Joe Philbin likes it. Mike Smith probably didn't like some of the things defensively on that possession. Special teams coach Keith Armstrong, and there you see Mike Smith on the sideline, told us at Flowery Branch this week he was going to look at a lot of people in the return game. And so we're going to see Javier Arenas and Josh Wilson back for the Falcons, as the Falcons sideline can't be too happy with a couple of Dolphins drives that have put them in front here by a score 10-7. And that's Wilson. Got some room up the middle. Oh, here's a surprise, a flag down. But Wilson is not down until he's at about the 38-yard line. Let's sort it out here.
During the return, holding, return team, 29, 10-yard penalty, 1st and 10. Timeout on the field.
Sean Baker, the guilty party. So that'll back him up. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW 69. First 3 possessions for the Falcons. Take a look at those. First one good. Next 2 stall.
Yeah, you could flush the last 2 down the toilet if you wanted to. They need to get something going here, get back to doing some of the things they were doing in that last drive, the first drive, and run the football a little bit.
It was T.J. Yates under center with Peter Kahn snapping the ball, and that's incomplete, intended for Jeremy Ebert.
Well, here's Ebert. This is really a good job by Will Davis, 3rd-round draft pick from a year ago. Just stays in the hip pocket of Ebert. And Yates tried a little back shoulder throw there, and Will Davis got his head around and batted the ball away.
So 2nd and 10. Inside the Falcons 10. Ebert's out wide left with the single back behind Yates, and that's who takes the ball, Antone Smith. Falcon fans, it's time for you to look for those tickets for this upcoming season. Time to rise up. Get your tickets today. Secure your seat for the Steelers, Bears, Saints, and others when they invade the Dome in 2014. Visit AtlantaFalcons.com/tickets for the best values.
Now, 3rd down success, we talk about it so much. A lot of it has to do with what you do on 1st and 2nd down. Falcons in 3rd and long here.
Josh Vaughn beside Yates, who's flushed out of the pocket, nearly down, stays alive, gets to the 15, and that simply gives the punt team a little more room. Chris McCain, the tackle.
Well, another 3 and out for this Falcon offense. They just have not operated very well. Just a 4-man rush, little twist to this side of the field, and really good job of executing that. Isako Aatui comes in and puts the pressure on Yates. Yates is able to skate up and buy a little bit of room for Bosher, but 3 series in a row, not very good.
One of the 2 players on the Dolphins roster named Damian Williams. Yes, 2 Damian Williams, spelled a little differently, the first name. Back to take the punt, and this Damian wears number 1, and he took it at the 30, and he's just shy of the 40. That's a 56-yard punt and 9-yard return, and here's a look at what T.J. Yates was facing on that last play from scrimmage. Arch, I'm going to go a little country on you here. Mike Tice is having a prayer meeting.
Well, yeah, he's broken out the scripture there, and he's trying to show him how it works. Talking to his offensive line about some of the looks. It's a huge job. This team is only going to go as far as that offensive line can take it. They've got great skill people, but that offensive line's got to get it done. Mike Tice brought in former head coach with the Vikings, 02 to 05, and 14-year player, but he's going to have to dial some stuff up for that offensive line.
Lobato still at quarterback, Seth Lobato, and that's incomplete to Damian Williams, the receiver. Damian Williams, the running back, returned the previous punt. And you're probably aware of what the shortcomings were, folks. If you're sitting here with us tonight watching, sacks allowed and sacks defensively near the bottom of the league. In fact, bottom of the league rushing. So it just basically in the trenches, Arch just didn't get it done.
No, did not win the line of scrimmage many times last year, and that presented opportunities for both sides of the other team. In good situations on their defense, where the Falcons were in 3rd and long a lot, and certainly easy conversion opportunities for the teams that were playing Atlanta on the defensive side, to the tune of teams converting 3rd downs at 45.9%. That also was last in the National Football League.
Speaking of 3rd down, 3rd and 9 for Lobato and Miami. And Falcons trying to put some pressure on, send some folks. They do not get there. The completed pass is good for a 1st down, and inside the 40-yard line of the Falcons.
Well, just a blown coverage that time. Pretty easy to see that. Atlanta came with a little bit of pressure and lost a receiver in the open field. Let's go down to Laura, who's with Willie Moe.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, I'm going to say this right, because every time I've asked a player or a coach about the buzzword around here, which is toughness, I've gotten such a dirty look. And guys have said, we haven't said the word toughness. We keep saying physicality. What's the difference, William, and what do you guys need?
We're trying not to use the word tough around here because we don't want to talk about it. You know, Coach said you can tell anybody you're tough, but what you put on film is what counts. We have a physical group here. I don't think many people know about the Atlanta Falcons. We had a reputation, I guess, as we weren't a physical football team. That's one of our emphasis going into the season. Playing physical, playing tough, all the way through.
Where does the mentality of that come in?
From our coaching staff. It starts with our coaching staff. What we're doing right now, we're training camp as hard as it ever been. We're practicing harder. Everything's more harder. And that's where it starts at. You know, you can't just talk about it.
You have 2 young cornerbacks who had pretty fantastic rookie seasons in Alford and Trufant. What's the biggest difference you had as a defensive back between that 1st year and 2nd year? What clicks? What's different?
Those 2 guys, they're experienced. You know, we put them out there last year, and they didn't play like rookies. They stood up against some of the best receivers in the game last season. And you can look at the numbers. Trufant, you know, he went out there, had so many pass breakups. And Alfred, heck of an athlete. You know, it's not much you can tell those guys. They get that motor going already.
All right, thank you. How many people have asked you about the pool, by the way, since Hard Knocks?
A lot. If anybody want to come over and swim, they can come.
Can't believe you just invited everyone on TV. Thank you. Guys, back up to you.
Well, Stanley Maponga supplied the pressure on 2nd down, and then Javier Arenas with the coverage and tackle there on 3rd down. lost a yard, did Miami, on that third down play.
That's a good read of the quick screen to the outside by Javier Arenas, splits the two blockers and makes the big play on Jarvis Landry. Real quickly on what Willie Moe was talking about. Physicality, yeah, it could start with the coach, and it's an idea that the coaches have, and they talk about it, but at some point, somebody defensively from a leadership standpoint has to take up and take on that mantra. He's one of those guys, but it's got to be something that permeates the players and that the players instill the physicality, not the coaches.
Robert McClain, who returned 19 punts last year during the season, drifts toward that one, but he and the Dolphins let that one bounce before they pick it up before it goes out of bounds. That'll pin the Falcons back as we approach the 2-minute mark here in the second quarter. 27-yard punt. Dropped it inside the 20. Don't forget to visit AtlantaFalcons.com/contest right now to win Falcons tickets and autographed memorabilia. Multiple winners will be chosen tonight. That's AtlantaFalcons.com/contest.
Well, and just to finish up that thought, because it is the overriding theme of what we've heard for the last several months, really, that this team needed to change its physical makeup, and that means they're going to hit people in the mouth and play hard, and they do play hard. Now they got to transfer it to some success. William Moore is going to be a big part of that because that's how Willie Moe plays.
That was Devontae Freeman with the carry after taking the handoff from T.J. Yates. Joe Philbin's team has a 10-7 lead as we're at the 2-minute warning here in the second quarter. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. T.J. Yates takes the snap on a play where the Falcons needed big yardage and got nothing. Geraldo Boldevine, the intended receiver.
Yeah, Boldevine, an interesting guy. Doesn't have great speed, but big receiver out of Boise State. Excited to watch him. He's from the Netherlands. Only played 1 year of high school football in the Boise area before he ultimately went to Boise State. But he's a guy that has made some plays in the preseason.
T.J. Yates and the offense trying to avoid their third straight 3-and-out. Got it away cleanly, and it's caught. That's a first down to Courtney Roby.
A much better job this time by Courtney Roby. We remember a couple series ago, he hooked up too early and was short of the sticks. This time, he gets himself past the sticks and takes a well-thrown ball from T.J. Yates.
15-yard gain, as you said, moves those sticks. And this, however, will stop the clock with 1:33 to go in the second quarter after the incompletion.
Well, part of what you live with is the quarterback that, first of all, this is a new scenario for T.J. Yates. They acquired him in a trade. Akeem Dent goes to Houston. Yates comes to Atlanta, didn't have the opportunity to go through all the OTAs, so he's still learning the offense, and he's on the field with a bunch of young guys. Boldevine probably was supposed to hook up there. Yates was expecting him there, and he was not home.
So 2nd and 10, and to the air again. Miami bringing the heat. Well-thrown ball, stretched out, and incomplete.
Smart idea by Yates. Go back to the veteran. Courtney Roby has been in a lot of camps, has played a lot of football. Now, he is more of a special teamer, but runs a good route here. Just a little too far out in front of Roby for the completion, but the quarterback realizes, you know what, I got a bunch of young guys on the field. Let me go back to the veteran receiver that's on the field with me.
I heard somebody ask Yates about, family being close by since he's playing here. He goes, well, I get here at about 6 in the morning, and I work on video a lot with Matt Ryan and so on. I leave here about 11 at night, so not a whole lot of time. Hasn't made a whole lot of difference in training camp as far as his location in that sense. Here he is on a 3rd and 10, and that's complete again to Boldevine.
And again, a good job by Yates. Excellent protection up front. It's just a 3-man rush from Miami, and here's the big kid, Boldevine out of Boise State. Does a good job of turning the defender around. Well-thrown ball this time by Yates, and Boldevine uses the big body to screen Will Davis away from the throw and squeezes it for the first down. Good protection. Again, only a 3-man rush. You'd expect good protection in that situation, but a good job of sorting out coverage by T.J. Yates.
Will Davis is from Spokane, Washington. That's rodeo country. He got about a 2-second ride right there after trying to make the tackle. Inside the 40-yard line, Levine Toilolo. They're trying to get Toilolo some snaps and some looks, no matter what quarterback or what unit is out there on the field. We'll give you a sneak peek coming up At halftime here, a brand new show about the Falcons. Laura Oakman's going to answer some of your best tweets in our social media corner, and we'll also have some first half highlights for you coming up at halftime. And we're at 59 seconds and the clock stopped here. It'll be a 2nd and 10 for the Falcons.
You know, Randy, we look for signs for guys making progress. The play prior to that incompletion right there to Roby was a completion to Levine Toilolo. Right. Excellent job of pushing up the field by the big tight end and then working his way back to the quarterback to make the catch to extend the drive. So you see Toilolo, more opportunities. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that from him.
So Roby in motion there. Peter Kahns to snap it to T.J. Yates, who gets it away. Collision at the 33-yard line. Is there laundry on the field? No, don't see any.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is there?
Yes,
okay,
there is.
I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, a little too early for Will Davis, the corner,
Pass
closing.
interference, defense, number 29, playing through the back of the receiver. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
That's an excellent call. You see at the top of the screen, going to get the slant route at a Roby, and yeah, Will Davis there way too early. Makes the collision in the back. Good job by our camera guys to get you a really good look at that. And T.J. Yates said, yeah, give me that yellow.
Falcons started this drive inside their 15. That'll be at the 31-yard line on the ground to Devontae Freeman.
Now the Falcons will burn a timeout here and come over. Yates will come over and talk to head coach Mike Smith and Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator here. You might ask, well, why you run the ball there? 52, 53 seconds left. Why do you? Team, it's expectant pass. You try to switch them up. You know, slide your chess pieces a little bit different direction. Try to slip a draw in there. Didn't work. You have timeouts in your pocket. You go ahead and burn a timeout there. It doesn't hurt you.
You got a chance, fans, to learn about the new Atlanta Falcons stadium. It's coming. Seat selections will begin in early 2015. Now, to learn more about the ways to secure the seating in that brand new facility, visit www.newatlantastadium.com/waitlist. newatlantastadium.com/waitlist. You don't want to miss your chance to be there from the beginning. 2nd and 8. 10th play of the drive. Oh, Yates, nice presence in the pocket. There's a flag down. Bernard Reedy. Yeah, it rhymes with Speedy, and yes, he is on the reception, but we'll see if it holds up.
Well, this is down that area of illegal contact or offensive pass interference, so we'll see exactly what the call is. Maybe a defensive hold.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 22, penalties declined. Result of the play, first down.
1st and 6. At the 6 after the 26-yard play. Now the Dolphins weren't ready for Yates and company. We just mentioned the brand new stadium, state-of-the-art, retractable roof, scheduled to open for the 2017 NFL season. Of course, the groundbreaking was back in May. It'll serve as obviously the home of the Falcons, but also pro soccer and other entertainment and sports events. And state-of-the-art can be misused, sometimes overused. Evidently
No.
Not in this case.
When you say bells and whistles,
Yeah.
they've got them all on that one. It will be the class sporting stadium, maybe in the world. Phenomenal place. Looking forward to seeing that here in a few years.
First down. That's Ebert in motion. Toilolo is to the left as well. And Yates looks to his left, and it's through the hands of Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, it's a little too tall, Randy, with the throw. Devontae, not the biggest back in the world, and he'd be the first guy to tell you that's one I've got to catch. But TJ's got to get that down around his numbers. He's breaking back inside on an angle route. There's 2 linebackers in there waiting on him. He knows that. Get that ball down there. He's got those big shoulder pads on. Get it down where he can catch the football.
He's listed at 5'8", by the way.
Boy, he's had a very good first couple of weeks, too. He has impressed everybody at Flowery Branch.
2nd and goal. Yates, before Ebert turned around, Jeremy just did not look ready for that ball.
Well, and you got to have a sense of urgency as a receiver. Your head is swiveled to the inside. Miami's coming with an all-up blitz look. We're not going to be able to block everybody. You see an uncovered defender coming at Yates. He waits as long as he can, but as a receiver, there's got to be a sense of urgency where you might break your route off a step or two early to present yourself to the quarterback to give him an opportunity. So Ebert's got to recognize what's going on.
There's a reason they call that a hot read, huh? Third and 6, third and goal. Well, Yates time. Now he's going to run for it, but not get there. Tackled inside the 5. T.J. Yates goes down in the arms of Jelani Jenkins. Those aren't gentle arms, by the way. Mike Smith wants to talk about it.
Well, that time Miami blitzed on a second down. That time they played zone, and Yates couldn't find an open target and decided to pull it down. So they're going to burn it all the time they can down and probably kick a field goal.
I don't know, Arch. Preseason, you want to roll some dice here, maybe?
Yeah, go for it right here.
You know, I mean, you know Matt Bryant. You know what he can do.
Well, you're Mr. Vegas, too, so I figured you'd roll the dice with him.
One of the original Flying Elvises? No, not really.
Certainly not Utah chapter.
Would have been the kerplopping Elvises had I been involved.
Well, we get a chance to see Matt Bryant. Matt Bryant has been as steady a kicker as I think the Falcons have had here. He's made a ton of game winners. I don't think anybody will ever forget the game winner against Seattle in the divisional round of the playoffs right here in the Dome. Tony Gonzalez sets it up, and Matt knocks it through. So here's his first offering this year from about 21 yards away.
16 game winners in his career, 7 of those as a Falcon. And Bryant is trying to nail one from 21. Should be just another day at the office for him and his snapper and holder, and indeed it was. So that ties it up. End of the first half as the Falcons are able to go into halftime here even. We'll show you a sneak peek at a new show about the Falcons and more. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. Welcome back to the Georgia Dome. Randy Waters along with Dave Archer as people are kind of here in early August scratching that football itch, getting a little bit of football in here as the Falcons and Dolphins are all even 10-10 as we head into the third quarter of this first of 4 preseason games here on CW69. Dave, your impressions so far?
Well, a little ragged.
Yeah.
The first 2 drives by both offenses go right down the field and score. I think both coaches were happy about that, but ragged kind of after that. I don't think either team really showed a tremendous amount of prowess on either side of the football after that. I did like the drive at the end of the half with the way T.J. Yates took that second unit down the field, ultimately resulting in a field goal, but I did like that drive.
Well, defensively, first Falcons defensive situation, Mike Smith could not have been very happy with that scenario.
Well, more work to do, Randy. I mean, I think they are physical. I think that the bigger size up front is going to bode them well. We didn't see it really very much in the first half. Now, they were only on the field for a few series. I think they'll build on that. This is good tape to watch. But you finally were able to bang on somebody the way you're going to do it in a game because you had one here, and I think you'll build on that and move forward.
Oh, Mike Nolan will have him watching that tape.
Yes,
I guarantee you that. All right, let's take a look at the Georgia Lottery first half highlights here. As the Dolphins were able to score first, but the Falcons, Matt Ryan brought him down the field here. Roddy White, the reception there. Jaquiz Rogers. They had to look at it again, but he did indeed get in, and that tied the game 7-7. And then you mentioned the T.J. Yates possession, getting the ball in position there with the pass to Reedy that Mike Smith's special teams, Matt Bryant in particular, was able to get a field goal to tie the game up at halftime 10-10. The numbers in the first half for you. Falcons win the rushing battle, if you will, and the passing as well, so the total yards is 191 to 109. Neither team had a turnover, although Hester certainly escaped one on the punt situation.
He did, and I think both coaches will probably be disappointed in the penalty situation. And how about the 2 huge plays that Antone Smith had? He had a 75-yard touchdown called back. He also had a completion, a reception that resulted in about 30 yards. 2 monster plays called back because of penalty.
I think that is Reedy in the end zone, and he is quickly out to the 20 and looking for a little bit of daylight to the 27. We told you a little bit earlier that they were going to take a look at a lot of folks in the return game, and indeed, Bernard Reedy got a look right there.
Well, Bernard Reedy dazzled the crowd a week ago at Archer High School up in Lawrenceville during the Friday Night Lights scrimmage. He had a couple of big catches in one-on-one period, and he's a guy that's got blinding speed that's going to get many opportunities in the preseason.
It is still T.J. Yates at quarterback as they start from the 26. He's got Josh Vaughn behind him, who barely had the football before he was absolutely swallowed up by Anthony Johnson. Loss of 6 yards on the play. Matt Ryan had the touchdown drive early on. He was 7 for 7. Yates so far 5 out of 14 in the first half.
I thought Matt was extremely sharp in conversion situations where he had to make the throw on third down. I thought that the players around him understood the situation. There was a sense of urgency to extend the drive. Matt 7 for 7 was perfect. TJ had some younger players in there with him, and there were a few mistakes made.
After the play action, Yates standing in there nicely. A flag is down. That was a hookup with Bernard Reedy.
Again, it's in that area of illegal contact or offensive pass interference. They've been very sensitive about these calls in the preseason, and they certainly have been tonight as well.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact number 35. Penalties declined. Result of play, first down.
35-yard gain, and so it indeed will stand.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out during the regular season. The team that won the Super Bowl last year was noted for getting away with a lot of stuff against the receivers, the Seattle Seahawks. It'll be interesting to see how teams like that with defensive backs that are very good players are able to adjust to some of the more sensitive calls.
You think Richard Sherman gets away with stuff? Handing off is Yates to Josh Vaughn over the right side. A couple of yards.
Yeah, don't forget, coming up in the post game, inside the locker room, in studio with J.P. Peterson, and then myself, Wes Durham, who calls the radio for the Atlanta Falcons. We'll all be downstairs and getting interviews post game. The Inside the Locker Room show right here on CW69.
You and Wes get in there and start asking questions. That's dangerous.
Come on, man.
2nd and 8. And again on the ground, it's Freeman, the former Seminole, over the left side.
Yeah, it's his first opportunity to carry the ball. Now, this is a young man that came in and really had a mindset that he was going to come in and not just make a club as a 4th-round draft pick. He was going to come in and contribute right away. And he has had a solid first couple of weeks of training camp. I'm really excited to see him get more and more carries. First opportunity to tote it right there as an Atlanta Falcon, and you like the result, 6 yards.
Sets up a 3rd and 4 on the 34. This offensive line is giving Yates some time. There's a flag down. The pass was completed to Boldevine.
You're going to get the rub route. This is a classic scenario. I think Bear Pasco, tight end, is going to be called for offensive pass interference here.
Pass interference, offense, number 86. 10-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
What you're trying to do, Pasco going to run the route. He's going to come over the top. Here's Bear Pasco. He's going to run this direction here. Boldevine is going to come underneath him, and you're going to try to rub the defender off. You see right there, he blocks the Miami defender. Can't do that. You got to keep running your route. Try to make it a little bit more less obvious than that. You can't block the guy down the field, so Pasco gets called for offensive pass interference.
He's a free agent signing. He was drafted by the 49ers back in 2009. And so Yates will try it again, and again has some time to set that play up and gets it out to Pasco. Here you go, pal. Here's the ball. Let's make up for that penalty.
Really difficult to overcome the big penalties, the major penalties, and the Falcons don't here. It's going to bring up 4th down. So, again, we've seen a lot of this here in the preseason, and I go back to the numbers a year ago, and it's one of the points of emphasis for Mike Smith is to get the penalties down. 91 penalties last year in the NFC Championship year, or NFC Championship game year, I should say. They had 55 penalties. I mean, that's a dramatic difference.
Marcus Thigpen is back to return the punt of Bosher. Thigpen averaged about 8 yards a return last year. He's going to let that one bounce, and he hoped into the end zone, and indeed it did go there. The 43-yard punt will be brought back out to the 20-yard line. Bosher tried to drop it in there. You got to put the spin on that thing, baby. Back it up to the cup for a birdie attempt. 10 all, third quarter, 11:27 mark. Seth Lobato is still in at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Mike Gillislee is the running back behind him and to his right, and that's who's going to have the football. Tries to cut it back to his right, but is taken down on a nice play by Sean Baker. Laura Oakman along with Matt Ryan on the sideline.
Very content Matt Ryan, who gave me 3 words to describe that first series. Would you like to say what they were?
Long.
Oh, no. That's just one word. I was going with your 3 words, one and done.
One and done. Yeah, that was a good start for us tonight. We wanted to come out and run the football, and I thought we did that well on the first drive, and then we converted the third downs when we needed to.
All right, let's talk about the thing that everyone's talking about, and I know you felt the most, more than everybody else talking about it, the sacks last year. You were sacked 16 times more than you have ever been. Why do you feel this team is going to be different with this new offensive line?
Well, I think we've got 3 guys that are playing now that weren't playing last year. We get Sam Baker back healthy, which is huge for us. He's a staple of our offensive line. We bring in John Asamoah, who I think has done an awesome job during training camp, and then we draft Jake Matthews. And Joe Hawley is now in at center doing a good job for us. So, I think those guys collectively are going to help us and make us a better football team.
You're coming off your first losing season in the pros. Tell me something that is going to help you this year that you learned from the experience.
Well, there's a lot of things. Certainly we don't want that to happen again, but I think one of the biggest things is you have to nip things in the bud quickly. And sometimes when you're winning games, things, you don't like to say they get swept under the rug, but, things kind of get overlooked. And I think last year is a great example for us that we have to be detailed right from the start, and I think guys have taken that to heart.
And everything that's been talked about in terms of the physicality, Matt, in terms of just, I don't know if it's the physicality, if it's the attitude, or is it hand in hand when everybody's been talking about what they want from this team?
Well, I think it's a point of emphasis for our football team to be physical up front. But the toughness thing, I think we've got tough guys in our locker room, and I'm excited to see what they're capable of doing this year. And I think both sides of the ball we're going to be a little bit better up front this year, and that's going to bode well for us.
And how excited were you to see healthy Julio and Roddy out there?
It's huge. I mean, both those guys have had a great start to training camp. Julio not going tonight, but Roddy, kind of picked up right where he left off. I mean, he finished the season really well last year. It was just kind of that beginning and middle stretch where he was nicked up that was tough. But he looked great tonight.
Finally, going back to the offensive line for a second, Matt, because every quarterback says it helps so much with the gelling on the field and off the field. You do have a bunch of new guys, kind of youth and experience. How do you help facilitate that, expedite that relationship?
Well, I think a lot of stuff is done on the field and in the meeting room, but there's a lot of stuff, especially during a time like this where in your training camp, where you can be in the locker room or you can be in the dorms or whatever, and just spending time together and making sure that we all get to know each other on a personal level, I think helps.
Always great seeing you. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks, Laura.
Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Matt. And the Falcons have just forced the Dolphins into a punt situation, a loss of 2 on that play.
Yeah, good play. Tim Dobbins, and why not? Iowa State player steps up and makes a play. Tim Dobbins, a guy that's really an outstanding special teamer, kind of a guy that fills in at linebacker. He's a guy they're really kind of counting on as a veteran player to help solidify some of the spots on the special teams, but makes a nice play on third down there. Good talking to Matt. Laura did a great job there talking to Ryan. And I think that, as he said, there were a lot of things learned last year. Some things you can't really even talk about because it angers you so much about what happened last year that hopefully this team will be better for it.
That's Robert McLean drifting back under the ball at the 10, right on the 10-yard line. That's a 60-yard punt. McLean got a 10-yard return before he was collared right at the 20. So the Falcons offense will have a chance. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. Take that Friday football night in Atlanta. Here as the Falcons and Dolphins start the preseason. First of 4 games we'll have for you here on CW69. We're 10 all in the third quarter with 8:39 to go and have a new Falcons quarterback. That is Sean Renfrey. We've seen a former Tar Heel. Now we see a former Blue Devil who lost it down the right side, and that is thrown behind Geraldo Boldevine.
Sean has had an outstanding preseason. He was starting to have a decent preseason a year ago out of Duke, but injured his shoulder and was put on injured reserve a year ago. But he's a guy that completed 65% of his passes under David Cutcliffe. And you know, if you have a quarterback that is tutored by David Cutcliffe, he's going to know the game. And Sean Renfrey definitely knows the game, and he's had a nice camp for the first 2 weeks.
He's got the size, 6'3", 225. Sort of the prototypical NFL-sized quarterback, and he hands it off to Freeman. Freeman took advantage of some daylight up over the 35-yard line before Michael Thomas, the safety, came up to stop him, but it's a gain of 14.
Now, good job by the left side. Go ahead and roll it, guys. We'll watch Mike Johnson, the left guard, come off the ball with the double team with Peter Kahns. Good lead block by Higgins, the fullback, and then you see the explosion of Freeman. Look at Freeman get to that next level, through the second level to the third level, and makes the safety make a play on him.
Lamar Holmes did a nice job to seal the outside there as well, Arch. Young man getting a lot of snaps tonight. Here's Freeman again. A little tougher to find a crease that time for the kid from Florida State, Jonathan Freeney, the stop after a 4-yard pickup.
Well, you like the fact that Devontae's carried the ball a couple times, and each time he's touched it, it's been 4+. And that's what you're looking for in a run game, is if you can get 4+ when you run the football, especially on first down, it sets up a lot of stuff for you from a play caller standpoint.
2nd and 6, and Josh Vaughn, the running back behind Sean Renfrey. And that's pass interference. I called that from up here, which means it was very obvious.
Now, the one thing I'd like to see from Boldevine is for him to recognize the press coverage and understand the ball may come out a little quicker. Both the last 2 plays, he's looked late for the football. If he gets on top and stacks the corner, he's got to expect the football.
Pass interference, defense, number 38. It was a hold while the ball was in the air, which makes it pass interference. First down at the spot of the foul.
Boldevine gets an inside release. It's an excellent release. Now he's on top of the corner. Got to get your head around. That way you can put that foot in the ground and leap and go catch that ball at the highest point if you need to. Now, he drew the penalty, outstanding job there, but they're giving Boldevine a number of opportunities. Big kid out of Boise State.
Penalty on Stephen Clark, a free agent rookie from Vanderbilt, so a lot of SEC fans might remember that name, and this play is going absolutely nowhere. It's dead in the backfield is Josh Vaughn. Freeney in there on the stop. Loss of 2.
Jordy Tripp also in there, and a guy that I was hoping that we might get an opportunity to look at from a draft pick standpoint. Number 57, Jordy Tripp, the linebacker out of Montana. This is a guy that really showed out at the combine. Ended up being drafted in the 5th round by Miami. Small school guy, but really showed a lot of prowess at the combine and in his season at Montana.
Some guy named Bierman from Montana has done okay for the Falcons and hopefully healthy again this year. Renfrey had to tuck it and try to get the best he could out of it, and the best he could was 3 yards.
And that's one of those situations where Sean just hadn't played enough yet. He's coming back off an injury. This is one that I think if he watches on film, he's going to stand in there a count longer, and he's going to turn it loose. He had a receiver open on the corner route, and he just decided to pull it down. You get a little bit panicky if you haven't been back there very much, and he's still trying to get his feet wet and get back in the mix.
It's a 3rd and 9 after the Renfrey scramble. Boldevine is wide left, and it's looking to his right for Mickey Schuler, the tight end.
Boy, how about that catch by Mickey Schuler?
A little bit behind him, wasn't it?
Well, the ball was in that area where it made it difficult. You're slanting to the inside, and the ball's thrown on the back shoulder, but Schuler reaches out and snags the football with the defender on his back and is able to claw his way forward to get the first down. That's an outstanding individual effort by Mickey Schuler. And yes, if you're an old school football player and the name sounds familiar, it should. His dad played for the Jets in Philly. Pretty good player itself.
Drafted by the Vikings back in 2010 out of Penn State. Free agent signee by the Falcons. Freeman and too much traffic and loss of yardage as he tried to sweep left. Garrison Smith, the former Georgia Bulldog, the tackle there, the former Douglas High player. Devontae Freeman, that 3rd round pick we've been talking about as he's carried the ball, 103rd overall, won the National was a member of the national championship team at Florida State last year. Ran for over 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns for him. First team All-ACC last season as a junior. Entered the NFL draft, and the Falcons are glad they had a chance to get him. 2nd and 14. Fake to Freeman, roll right, pass complete. Looks like Schuler again, and he's down at the 20, and that's a shade shy. They needed 14, and they got 13.
You know, Randy, we hear stories so much about running back by committee. I think the tight end situation is like that for the Falcons this year. I think you're going to see tight end by committee. I think Toilolo will be your starter, and here's what you lose when Tony Gonzalez steps away. Certain Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, and what's left are a bunch of guys that just didn't play very much because Tony was an Iron Man. He was on the field all the time. But I do think you've got some talent, but the numbers aren't going to be quite as big, but they're going to come from 3 different players.
3rd and 1, and wide open, and the catch down to the 11-yard line is Maurice Higgins, the fullback.
Well, it's a good quick read by Sean Renfrey. Tight end releases up the field. Mickey Schuler, Higgins hits the flat. You read the flat defender. If he falls back with a tight end, which he did there, you dump the ball to Higgins for the first down. Good quick read by Sean Renfrey.
I knew I'd do that. There's double 45s.
Yeah. The old double. They colleged you there, the old double number.
That's right. And Maurice Higgins, the fullback. Jacquez Smith, the linebacker from Tennessee, whose name has been talked about a little bit this training camp. A little extracurricular activities as the Falcons are in the forward drive zone, and Josh Vaughn carrying the ball there. 3:07 to go, and the clock moving with a 10-all game here in the 3rd quarter at the Georgia Dome. Mike Smith watching his quarterback Sean Renfrey get his feet wet, and Dirk Cutter giving Renfrey the plays.
Well, I think you pull a little bit for Josh Vaughn, who just carried the ball for Mike Smith's team. You pull a little bit for Josh Vaughn. He's a good kid. He does a lot of community work for the Falcons. He's played on their practice squad. He led this team in preseason rushing a year ago. Had a 65-yard touchdown run. You kind of pull for the kid. He really has worked hard for his opportunity.
It's a 2nd and 8. Renfrey, complete, inside the 5. Higgins, the fullback, sneaking out of there and getting the reception.
That's a good job by Higgins. Just 2 catches for Higgins, working out of that bunch look on the left, runs an angle route to the inside, and gets free to the inside. And fortunately for Renfrey, it happened a count quick because Josh Vaughn, the guy I just mentioned, whiffed on his block, and there was a defender running free. Renfrey was able to get the ball off.
Under the 2-minute mark in the 3rd quarter now.
This is where you'd like to pound it with the run game here, Randy. You'll stick this ball in the end zone, at least get the first down.
That's 3rd and 2. They can get the first without the 6 if it works out that way, and it's incomplete, intended for Boldevine.
Now this might be one. No, they're going to send the field goal unit. I thought this might be one that Smitty might take a look at. Boldevine does a good job of getting to the inside. That's difficult. Slant route. The defender's going to play an inside technique, use the sideline as the extra defender. So really good job by Boldevine to get to the inside on the slant, but not a very well thrown ball by Renfrey.
Stephen Clark was the defender there. He had a penalty earlier in this Falcons possession, and we have Sergio Castillo to try this field goal. Bosher will put it down at the 11, so this will be 21 yards, the same distance from which Matt Bryant tied the game late in the 2nd quarter. Bryant's kick was good, as is Castillo's. So the Falcons edge ahead on a field goal by Sergio Castillo. They lead it 13-10. Beautiful shot of the skyline of Atlanta. Meanwhile, inside the Georgia Dome, Bryan, Renfrey, Matthews, Yates, all huddled around, going over what's gone on so far and what might be to come.
Another long drive, 13 plays. Good job by Renfrey orchestrating and taking care of business again with that sense of urgency on 3rd down to extend the drives. They had a number of 3rd down conversions in that drive, but an excellent job by Sean in his first series this season.
Damian Williams deep. Sergio Castillo gets the leg into it. And here comes Williams out of the end zone with it and bouncing outside. That's Castillo trying to do the best he could, and it was good enough. to at least get the returner out of bounds. Sergio Castillo, we know he's got leg from West Texas A&M. Evidently, he also got special teams game. 13-10 Falcons. And welcome to the Georgia Dome. Well, hello there. How'd he know we were talking to him?
Wow, where'd he park his
Very
car?
perceptive young man. Minute 31 to go. Seth Lobato still in quarterback for the Dolphins. That is knocked away from behind. Sean Baker and Marcus Maben back there. Baker, the guy who got it. A lot of new faces that we're seeing on defense here for the first time.
Well, Randy, you talk about a draft pick unit on the field. You've got Ricardo Allen and Des Southward, the secondary, both are draft picks.
There's Rashid Hegman.
You got Rashid Hegman, number 77, the second-round pick. Prince Shembo, 53 on the field. So you got a number of the Falcons' 2014 draft picks on the field at the same time right here.
Hegman just got blocked out of that one. Shembo, the tackle toward the outside, and we have a flag down as Shembo walks back from initiating
Holding,
contact.
Offense, number 75, 10-yard penalty. We'll replay. Second down.
Well, and there they are. The draft picks. Falcons had 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 2 in the 7th. I think all these guys have a chance to actually make the club. I think Sproul is injured. He was going to be a big timer on special teams. Unfortunately, tore his knee up on Wednesday. But this is a group that was very well researched. They were chosen for particular skills, and I think that was something that Thomas really wanted to focus on. I want to get guys that do something really well, and all those guys fit that bill where they were taken.
On a 2nd and 20 play, the pass is complete to the 32-yard line to the veteran and former Falcon Kevin Cohn. That's a pickup of 10. And that play on which Sproul tore his ACL, Archie, it was a classic example of it looked routine. I wasn't standing too far from him out in Flowery Branch, and you didn't think anything of it as the play developed, and then he's still down on the ground.
Yeah, there's just, unfortunately, these guys are built so well that the torque they put on the joint areas, sometimes they just can't take it. And guys are bigger, stronger, and faster now.
3rd and 10. Screen out to the flat. Armand Binns is tackled shy of the first down.
No, that's excellent hustle by Jaquez Smith. We talked about him. You talked about he's a guy that's been in a lot of scuffles during camp. He plays with a lot of bravado. That's excellent hustle from the defensive end spot to stop the play short of the first down.
They're going to let the clock wind down to the end of the 3rd quarter. Mike Smith's team during this 3rd quarter of play got the field goal from Castillo to go up 13-10. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. The Falcons lead by 3. Back to the Georgia Dome after these messages. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW 69. Well, the Falcons defense has forced a punting situation here. Looks like Bernard Reedy back deep for Atlanta to take the punt from Brandon Fields, who, by the way, is the only punter on the Dolphins roster here in the preseason, so he'll get his workout. Gets it away cleanly. It is high, and Reedy backpedals to the 10. Got by the first man, not by the second man, and does not get back to the 20-yard line. Chris McCain the tackle, a 50-yard punt, a 6-yard return. Back after this. Welcome back. Lots of folks can't catch Devin Hester, but Laura Oakman can. She's down on the sideline with Devin Hester right now.
Thank you. All right, Devin. I've talked to enough of your special teams coaches over the year who said the hardest thing about having you is that they've got to get the 10 guys who are on the field with you to work with you, to block for you, and not stand around and watch you. Do you see that, and how do you help prevent that?
I see it a little bit every now and then. You might get 2 or 3 guys that's peeking, it's a lot of excitement back there, and you just gotta let the guys realize and know that that's what we got television for. After tonight, we can go watch this play 100,000 times if we want.
Okay, is that really a conversation you have? Because Keith Armstrong, your special teams coach, said he does have to say that and watch for that. He said 2 of your own guys have run into you.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you're free. Your guy, if you block your guy, he fall down. You feel like you can take a peek and look and see what's going on, but at the same time, we got to let these guys know that let's continue to keep our blocks And after this game over, when we go and watch film, we can watch this thing 100 times.
I love that. Okay, when it comes to right now, if I was going to be a betting woman and betting on if you were going to be the kick returner and the punt returner for the season, would you tell me to make that bet?
Yes.
Okay. Because of inside information, you know that, right?
That's what I was brought here for, to be kickoff and punt return and to help out a little bit on offense. So I know for sure that kick return and punt return is my job.
When you say a little bit on offense, tell me what you would like. What's the ideal situation for you in Atlanta?
As much as I can handle, kickoff and punt return is a tough duty, You have to be fresh out there. It's hard to return kicks and punts if your leg's not fresh. So, I know the coaches, they're going to do the right thing, keeping me fresh and give me an opportunity to play a little bit of offense, too.
Evan Hester, so enjoyed talking to you. Good luck this season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, back up to you.
Well, you can bet, Randy, that Dirk Cutter is excited about the fact that he's probably going to have maybe 3 or 4 plays a game plan for Devin Hester. Set up a punt return for him on the offensive side, a bubble screen, a quick screen to the outside, a quick slant, a shallow drag route from him in the slot area, maybe even a jet sweep. You're going to see Devin Hester make a few plays offensively.
Right now, we'll take a break. Dirk Cutter thinking about the next moment. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. John Renfree in the Falcons offense with the young man from Tennessee, James Stone, snapping the ball to Renfree. And this unit has a 3rd and 2 with 14 minutes and clock moving here in the 4th quarter. High snap in the shotgun formation and wide open, but a flag down. Going down the sideline is Freeman. Another little juke gets him inside the 20. We'll have to check the laundry, though.
Whenever you see the bunch look like the Falcons had deployed to the right side, you get a little concerned that maybe there was an offensive pass interference scenario.
Private pass, illegal use of hands for the base. Defense, number 31. Penalties decline. Result of the play, first down.
Boy, this is an excellent throw by Sean Renfree. He releases Devontae Freeman up the near sideline right in front of Mike Smith. He's going to release to your right as you watch it on screen. Going to come right off the tight end's rear end. They rub off his cover man, and he's down the sidelines. What an excellent throw. That ball was thrown well before Freeman ever got into the vertical part of the route. And here's the penalty. There's the jam to the face of the Falcon receiver, Sombrano. But what a great throw by Renfree. Excellent timing there with he and his rookie running back.
57-yard play since it stands. The penalty being on the defensive unit. Renfree is 5 out of 8 for 95 yards in this game. There's the young man who matriculated to Duke, as we say, from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Well, and that's part of what's going on here now. Remember, T.J. Yates was traded for, but Sean Renfree very much in a battle to be that number 2 quarterback, and frankly, he has had a better night so far than T.J. did. We got 3 more preseason games to go.
You want to look good when you're here at the Dome or anywhere else. So Falcons fans, now's the time you can pick up your newest Nike preseason polos and New Era headwear. Shop with the only official retailer of the Falcons. Visit official@falconsgear.com. Official@falconsgear.com for the best variety and prices. Time to rise up and look good.
Now, TJ had that drive right at the end of the half that led to a field goal, made some really good throws in that drive. Renfree's had 2 drives here in the second half that have been outstanding.
1st and 10 at the 20. This is Freeman bouncing outside. Speed got him a couple of extra yards, and there's also a flag down. Stephen Clark
holding
the tackle.
Offense, number 45. 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Fullback Hagan's guilty party.
Yeah, Maurice Hagan's another product of the U, but there's Hagan's leading, number 45. Let's see if he wraps his arms. Yeah, grabs the jersey. Very evident when a defender can't disengage and falls on his back like that. That's one the official sees pretty easily. So Hagan's has got a couple of catches tonight, but also now has a holding penalty. Negates a pretty good gain by Freeman.
You saw Freddie Martino out there trying to throw a block to help Freeman get around the corner. Jerome Smith is in the backfield. So it's a 1st and 20 after the penalty sets the offense back, and snap is corralled, but you'd think, again, it did, I think, throw Renfrey off his rhythm as intended for Smith out there in the left flat.
Well, you think about it, Randy. You got your back releasing the flat, running the little arrow route, and it's going to happen really quickly. Now, if the ball's batted in the air, it completely disrupts the timing of Renfrey getting the ball out of his hands quick enough, so subsequently he's got to make a throw that's virtually a throwaway in that situation. Protect the situation here at the 29-yard line.
There you see the young man I was talking about, James Stone, the center from Nashville, and played at University of Tennessee. 2nd and 20 on the Dolphins 30. Outside this time, incomplete, intended for Jerome Smith.
Well, probably good that Jerome didn't catch that football, because now you still have a manageable third down. Well, somewhat manageable, but you don't lose the yardage. And Renfrey in this situation as a quarterback, you're going to throw the ball here, he can't take a sack. This is all the development as a quarterback. If you're going to play in this league, you've got to preserve points. You've got to preserve field position. They're in range right here of a legitimate field goal. He can't take a sack. He can't take a loss here.
Terrence Fede, their 7th round pick, as we mentioned earlier, from Marist in New York, was the man putting the heat on there defensively for the Dolphins. So 3rd down and 20. Renfrey out to his right. That's a well-thrown ball, and that's a completion to Tremaine Thompson. And that's going to make it a much more palatable field goal attempt, Dave.
Excellent job of the offensive line up front. It's a 4-man rush with a little TT stunt on the inside. They pick it up, the tackle stunt. They give Renfrey time, and he puts the ball on Thompson. So you got an opportunity for a reasonable field goal here.
Castillo, while playing at West Texas A&M, once had a 56-yarder against Abilene Christian. This is from 34. Good snap, good hold, and that one looks good as well. Castillo does his part, and he has helped put the Falcons up 6. So a couple of field goals here in the second half has been the extent of things. You're watching Atlanta Falcons football on CW69. The tale of two halves here, Arch, as far as offenses go.
Well, we had that little lag after the opening drive where Ryan goes 7 for 7, takes the team down and puts points on the board. You had about 3 or 4 series there where you didn't really do anything. But since the drive that TJ put together with his teammates to end the half, and since Renfrey's been in the game here in the second half, this offense with second and third team guys has really operated at a high level. And on the other side, conversely, the defense has been outstanding in the second half.
Castillo into it, and Williams, knocked off his feet on a great special teams tackle. Kamario McFadden, the rookie from South Carolina State.
Well, when you start thinking about trying to make a club, yeah, you'd like to play offense or defense, but these kind of hustle plays like McFadden made right there is how Antoine Smith made this team. Antoine Smith is one of the top special teamers on this team, and it looks like he's going to get to play some more offense. They need some more guys who are going to make plays like that.
Seth Lobato, the rookie, is still in at quarterback for Miami. And the Dolphins start on their 12 thanks to that play by McFadden. And the pass is complete out to the right again, but very quickly again, Ricardo Allen, another rookie. This one a draft pick. Ricardo played his college football at Purdue.
Now Ricardo Allen, the Falcons bail back into a zone. They shoot the ball in the flat. Allen reads it, comes up real quickly, and knocks the ball out of Thigpen's hands. You want to play physical? There you go.
Ricardo's from Miami. Long way from Miami to West Lafayette, Indiana, but he did pretty well. He's doing well tonight here as well. And these guys, doesn't matter what, quote, unit they're on, they're going at it.
Well, and this is what you want to see, Randy, when you start talking about the toughness and physical play and all that stuff. It's got to permeate your entire team. And I don't care when you get a chance to be on the field. We're in the fourth quarter, and there's a number of guys that are going to make this club that are on the field. Hegman, Shembo, Ricardo Allen potentially. but they're playing like they got a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Briefly there, you saw Yawan Smallwood, the 7th-round pick, and Hageman saw him too, the 2nd-round pick. And that pass is complete, looks like right in front of McFadden.
That's a good play by Thigpen, ran a really good route. We know about his ability to return kicks. He's trying to show that he can contribute on offense just like Devin Hester will for the Falcons, but played 2 years in the Canadian League and kind of made a little bit of a name for himself as the return guy for the Dolphins.
10-yard gain, and he's been kind of a special teams running back. Now he's trying to be special teams and wide receiver. Lobato. Oh, that is knocked away, and having a shot at the interception is Jordan Maben.
Well, Jordan Maben will not be able to sleep this evening because you pray for opportunities to make a splash play, and that's right in front of his own bench. He got an opportunity to make a play, intercept the ball in a National Football League game, albeit the preseason, yes, but I would imagine that Jordan's going to have a tough time closing his eyes tonight.
Well, he and his defensive mates will try to stop them again. Maben is a free agent. Came out into the league in 2012. Prince Shembo with a rather princely move there.
Well, this is part of what they hope Prince Shembo is going to bring to the table. 19.5 sacks as a Golden Domer at Notre Dame. And look at the physical play here. Just throws the guard out of the way, knifes in, and puts the quarterback on the ground.
Billy Turner won't win any rave reviews in the offensive room for Miami on that little maneuver, number 77. Look at Shembo. He's fired up. I don't blame him.
Should be. His first sack as an NFL player.
Deep ball from Lobato, jump ball and incomplete. Devontae Glover Wright from Smyrna and Campbell High School.
Local kid, played some junior college football, as you mentioned. Campbell High School product right here. Devontae Glover Wright goes up, high points the football, and it's just enough of it to knock it out of there.
Devontae was also a quarterback in youth football for our friend D. Orlando Ledbetter.
Wow. And I'm surprised he survived.
Well, I was going to say, Devontae, congrats to you for getting.
That's why he's playing corner now.
That's why he's playing corner. He played quarterback for D. Led. 4th and 19. Stumbling to his right on the return. And by the way, that was a 54-yard punt, a 1-yard return. And hey, you think these guys aren't fired up? Who cares if it's a fourth quarter preseason game? Beautiful evening here in Atlanta. And things are looking good inside the Georgia Dome as well. I'm impressed with the enthusiasm of these last couple possessions here, Arch.
Yeah, I would agree.
Both offense and defense.
I would agree with you, Randy, and I think that there is an emphasis now. You're in the fourth quarter with these young guys on the field. They want to go win this game.
Oh, look at this hole. Well, he also got a little bit on his own, Devontae Freeman, over the left side. First down, Falcons. 12-yard gain.
Well, Devontae, watch him get to the backside. Schuler, the block right there. Devontae cuts off that block. You see how he's quick to the second level. He's quicker than fast. He doesn't have great speed. He has explosiveness, and he can get to that next level. And if you miss a tackle, he could go to the house with it.
Up at the 38-yard line, Renfree still at quarterback. Has had an impressive debut here. Coming off the injured list last year, that is intended for Zambrano. And neither he nor the defender was aware the ball was in the air.
You know, this is going to be a really good teaching film, I think, for Terry Robisky, the wide receiver coach, who does an unbelievable job. They've got two big-time receivers in Julio Jones and Roddy White. And Harry Douglas had 1,000 yards a year ago with 85 receptions. These guys know when a defender is side by side, there could be a back shoulder throw. There could be a high point throw. I think there's going to be some great teaching opportunities for Terry this next week with some of this film.
Looks like Miami might be coming after him, and indeed they are. Blocking held up, passes lofted out there for Zambrano, incomplete.
Again, a good job by Zambrano to snap it up and save the box area. The box area is that 5 yards from where you are to the sideline. And that area, if you're even with the defender, is where the quarterback's going to throw it. He's going to slide you to the sideline into the box with that throw. But some of these young receivers just aren't getting their head around and locating the football quick enough.
Sean Renfrey looking for a completion here. He's one of his last 5 for 13 yards, and they need it to stay alive because it's 3rd and 10.
Going to get man coverage here.
Almost thought the Dolphins looked like they might have jumped off. The protection was good until there's a flag. Freddie Martino, the intended receiver.
I'm not sure if this ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage or Renfrey was hit as he let it go.
Either one or the other, because it was wobbling. Something affected it.
Because Miami's saying that the ball was tipped. If that's in fact the case, then there is no interference.
No interference.
Pass interference, defense, number 38. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
And I think that's the right call. I think it looked like Renfrey got his arm hit or his shoulder hit as he was trying to turn it loose. Let's take a look. There's the wide receiver combination getting up the field. And Martino clearly breaks the outside. Looks like he's going to have a chance for a completion. Maybe we can get an in-line copy of that. Maybe we can get something, show you whether Renfrey was hit.
Joe Philbin's asking explanation here. Seeking explanation, I should say.
All right, let's take a look here and see if we can see whether Renfrey gets hit. This would be a good shot of it. And yeah, there was a Miami defender in front that looks like he got a hand on the football. So, and Joe Philbin has challenged this, saying the ball was tipped.
Just at first glance, looks like he might win. So much for having to be a product of a football factory. Philbin's a Washington and Jefferson graduate.
He offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, did all that stuff with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay and got his opportunity to go to Miami, and really has done a decent job. He immediately took on the chore of having a young quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. And they had some moments. We saw him last year in week 3, and his team rallied to beat the Falcons. Let's watch the Miami defender elevate right here. It looks like he may have just got the index fingers out of his hand, Johnson's hand there. So that'll be overturned. I think Miami will force the Falcons into a punting situation.
We mentioned this. Yeah, that shows you. That shows you right there. Well, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but seriously, this year, if there is some sort of really controversial situation, the official, the referee, can call the vice president of officiating in New York as kind of a lifeline. It's like a quiz show. Okay, here's your lifeline call. No.
Now, are we certain he's not drinking like loads of Mountain Dew and stuff like that and is climbing the walls before they actually call him? Or
I can't swear to any of that. I don't even know what goes on underneath that curtain.
Is he sitting like in a lazy boy chair with his feet up eating licorice or something? What's he doing?
He's watching all the video sources.
Okay. Just one guy.
Well, he's the guy who has the call. Dean Blandino. He's the vice president of officiating.
There's another look at it, and I think that Kamal Johnson does get that index finger and thumb on the football. You certainly can see how it distorts as it gets beyond his hand. So I think this clearly where the ball was tipped.
Honestly,
now, what's taking so long now is they've got to find out where the ball was. Okay. Because the chains have already been moved. They've already marked it ready for play for the Falcons and a first down. Now they've got to find out where the ball was. What was the time on the clock? Because incomplete pass, all that kind of stuff. The clock shouldn't have run anyway. But they've got to relocate that original yardage marker and then get the down and distance correct, which would be fourth down. So that's what's taking so long here. Either that or he needed an extra 2 toppings on his pizza and they don't have them.
I think it's the former.
Okay.
I think so. Okay. You know, you mentioned Philbin a moment ago. They were close last year. Their offense just completely got stymied in their last 3 games, or they make the playoff.
And Randy, think about what they went through offensive line-wise. We talk about the offensive line here.
Yeah.
How about all that stuff that went on with Jonathan Martin and Richie Incognito? And I mean, what a nightmare that was
for the entire league.
Yeah.
After reviewing the play, the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. There's no foul for pass interference. The game clock will remain at 8:54, 4th and 10 on the 38-yard line at Atlanta hash. The game clock will start on the snap.
Marcus Thigpen retreating.
Well, that's a great job by our guys to get that shot. It wasn't hard for him to make that decision. Good camera work there.
Mr. Bosher, take a break. Sergio Castillo going to do the punting chores as well. Now, Thigpen is, it's, your 4th quarter of preseason game, but he's the guy they're going to use in the season here. It's somewhat a little unusual, I guess. But
I don't think Joe Philbin doesn't want to win the game as well.
Ooh. Hello.
It looked like Jacquez Smith and Yawan Smallwood. A couple of young guys dropping the hammer.
12-yard return and high price for the 12 yards. Watch this one.
Yeah, and maybe Joe Philbin's rethinking why this guy's back.
Oh, McFadden too. McFadden got it.
Yeah, Kamario McFadden.
Yeah.
It's another play for Kamario McFadden. Remember, he made the play on the kickoff where he made the tackle inside the 15-yard line.
You're gonna
couple special teams plays.
You're going to make Keith Armstrong's best movie reel. Seth Lobato still quarterback for the Dolphins. We saw Ryan Tannehill for one successful possession, a scoring drive. Orleans Darkwa, the Tulane rookie, on the carry.
And Jacquez Smith was undressed as the edge defender for the Falcons, so this will come back as holding penalty.
Easy, Arch. It's a family show.
Well, Tony Hill did everything but go get him a towel. I mean, he took everything off of him there. So,
what do you think of Smith? He's made a couple of headlines.
I just like the attitude he plays with. He plays full speed. There's no plays off for him. He does look like a guy that could potentially develop as a pass rusher. So if he doesn't make the team, he'd be a perfect guy for a practice squad type guy.
Play action, and Lobato to throw to a wide open receiver who is up over midfield. Brett Brackett, the reception for the Dolphins. Laura Oakman down on the sidelines with number 39.
And the only question that anyone wants me to ask Steven Jackson is, will you and your hamstring be ready for week 1 go?
Yes, I'll definitely be ready. I'll be excited, looking forward to another great season. And, the way the team's shaping up right now, I can't wait to get out there.
I love that. Like, you think you're going to get past this and we're going to stop talking about you and your health. You know that as soon as I start this question with saying a number, you know where I'm going to go, so I want you to finish it so it makes me look nicer, okay? You're 31 years old. Where do you think I'm going to take this question?
That's fairly young, isn't it?
In real life, it's very young.
That's a young man. At 31 years old, I feel great. I came into camp below weight that I've been reporting in previous years. I feel awesome. I feel great. This injury right now is just a slight setback. It's nothing serious. We're in the preseason, so the one time in the season you have time, this is the time to get it right, and that's what the coaching staff has allowed me to do.
It's been fun tonight because you've gotten to watch a very crowded backfield with Devontae Freeman, with Anton Smith, who had a great game, and Jacquez, of course. What can this backfield do if it's loading on all cylinders with you in there?
It's going to be a lot of fun, and it takes a lot of pressure off of me. When I know I can come out the game, and I know the guys that's in the room with me are all able and capable of doing the job, it makes for us to have a really exciting year, but it takes a lot of stress off of me.
One of my favorite things about Hard Knocks was watching you in that beautiful speech you were giving all the young backs. What I love about it, Stephen, you and I have talked about this a lot. You didn't have that as a young running back because Marshall Faulk viewed you as a threat, not as a welcome veteran. I know you two patched that up, but how does that change you now as an older veteran with the younger guys, how you lead?
Well, I just understand where they're at in their career. And I understand that as a veteran guy, what my role is to those guys. And whenever I do leave the game, whatever that is, I'm not rushing myself out of here. But whatever it is, I want to make sure that I give them everything that I know, because once I retire from the game, I don't plan on coming back.
Boy, I root you on as a player and a person. Stephen, thank you. Guys, back up to you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Insightful conversation there with the guy that everybody hopes is really on track for the Saints come September. On the 2nd and 14, Lobato goes upstairs, a flag on the field, another one, yes, and the pass is caught by Ryan Spadola, and he's down at the Falcon 40-yard line.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, defense number 48, penalties declined.
Well, I think they've gotten their point across here in this first weekend of preseason football that they're going to call that illegal contact.
5 yards and an automatic first down.
Mentioned that former head officials Mike Pereira reported the 6 games last night had 25 illegal contacts and 9 holding calls. I think we've had that in this game.
Penalty was on Brendan Daly, the rookie linebacker. Right there he is from Hawaii.
Well, it'll be an adjustment for these defenders. You know, you're used to using your hands, and because it's been a little laxed as that, you know, the old 5-yard rule, you're supposed to get your hands off them. That's really never existed to a large extent, and they're going to enforce it a little bit more. It's going to be a tough adjustment.
Falcon defense stiffens against the run there. Darkwa. Free agent signee, former Green Wave running back. Couple of yards. 39
career rushing touchdowns for Darkwa as a Tulane Green Waver. So he's used to getting the ball in those short yardage situations or down near the goal line.
Now have Damian Williams in there at running back. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, there are 2 guys named Damian Williams on the Dolphins roster. Oh, that's a nice catch. The ball was behind the receiver. Mario McFadden on the tackle, and he is still down. That was Williams catching.
Yeah, up in that upper body area, looks like. His shoulder.
Right shoulder. He's grabbing his right shoulder.
That's that stinger.
Hopefully just that. Hopefully just a stinger.
Yeah. You know, McFadden is another local guy, Riverdale, Georgia, Monday Mills High School.
I don't want him to call me, so I'm going to correct you real quick. Monday's Mill.
Monday's Mill, okay,
yeah,
Monday's Mill. Yeah, well, we don't want him calling you.
No, because they don't want to have to mess with calling me either. All right, now hopefully that's a real positive sign we see right there. What about another positive here? The SunTrust shining moment of the game. Well, came Falcons' first possession, first drive. Matt Ryan, Roddy White, couple of completions to him. And then Jacquizz Rodgers getting the ball into the end zone. Your SunTrust shining moment tonight here in this preseason game against the Dolphins. That was Matt Ryan's appearance for this evening. After that possession, drive, and touchdown, he was done.
Well, kind of reoccurring theme there. When you needed to convert, who did he go to? Number 84 is all-pro wide receiver. 3 completions to him, and then Quiz pounds it in the end zone.
Well, Lobato deep. That's overthrown. That's over everybody's head. 2 defenders down there as well as the Dolphin receiver. That's Ricardo Allen, one of the defenders, and Tyrell Johnson.
Yeah, Tyrell Johnson just signed. Had some injuries in that secondary. Dwight Lowry, who we saw in our graphic to start this game, is out with he's in the concussion protocol. He'll be back probably next week. But with him out and with the injury to Zeke Mata, last year's 7th round pick, they picked up Tyrell Johnson.
Williams tries to bounce it outside. And he's still up, although the whistle's been blown more than once as he was still struggling forward.
It's looked like kind of an early whistle. I'm sure Miami feels like it was an early whistle. He sticks it up in there and then bounces, and he's never really stopped.
No, he wasn't. Baker tried to strip the ball.
Yeah, Baker tried to take it out.
And then Cliff Matthews.
I don't know why the whistle was blown here. Atlanta does a good job at the point of attack initially, and then Williams does a good job of keeping his feet alive. And Matthews probably makes the tackle there, but they like to add the additional 5 yards.
Falcons are up 6, but the Dolphins are driving here. Don't you know that every guy currently, especially currently playing defense, does not want to allow a winning score here by Miami. There's Baker. On Baker.
Well, it's been pretty lean in the preseason the last 3 seasons for the Falcons. Only 1 win in 12 tries in the last 3 preseason games, or last 3 preseasons. I think Smitty would love to have a win here. He's got some of his younger players. Some of these guys are actually going to be on the club. There's some draft picks on the field.
Bouncing it outside for Miami is Darkwa again.
Randy, we talk about the preseason, the first 3 years, 6-6, 33-15 during the regular season. Now, does it equate? Does it affect the regular season? Certainly, if you just took it based on those numbers, you'd say, well, yeah, it certainly looks like it. They had a 13-3 season in both 3-year spans. They had a non-playoff run in both 3-year spans. So I think they would like to get the win. I don't think there's a question about that.
Won't get it that way. Wide open, and now down to the 15-yard line is Kyle Miller, one of the Miami tight ends from Mount Union College in Ohio, picked up on waivers from the Colts this year, a 14-yard gain.
It's an excellent catch, excellent run after catch that time by Miller. And now here is Miami threatening to put one in the end zone.
They've got a first down on the 16. And again, wide open. Smallwood just did not get there at all. Damian Williams, that was a coverage issue there, Arch.
Well, they can't be asking Smallwood from the inside to try to get out there and cover Williams in the flat. I think that you're not getting the corner who's playing zone to that side. Glover Wright has got to be able to come off the receiver that's in his area, turn that receiver loose to the safety. He's got to come off and play that flat area. So a couple of blown coverages from some of the young guys.
2nd and 4 on the 10. Screen successfully set up, but not enough to get it 6. But that is down in first down territory. 5-yard gain.
Set up the screen this time. This time they get a couple of linemen out in front, and really a pretty good play by Baker to keep this from going in the end zone, because when he caught the ball with 2 of the big eaters out in front, I thought, well, this is going to be a walk-in, but Baker did a good job of sliding over and bumping him out of bounds.
Don't you know the rookie quarterback from Northern Colorado went to Colorado, then transferred to Northern Colorado. Lobato would love to get this drive into the end zone. Here's Williams, and he is stacked up. Walker May in on the tackle. The Falcons are saying the ball's under there.
Yeah, I think it was a late strip, but I think they were already on the ground when the ball was ultimately taken away and ends up in the hands of a Falcon defender.
It was Walker May who ended up with it.
Now we're back to where you can review this.
It's a possession.
Recovered a fumble. Remember, this is the this is the Navarro Bowman rule. Remember, Navarro Bowman injured, a horrifying injury to him in the knee in that game in San Francisco, and that is a new rule where you can review if the ball was out. Was it recovered at the bottom of the pile?
That knee might have been down though by the time May reached in there.
It's certainly worth going under the hood and taking a look at, I would think. I think Smitty wants him to maybe take a look at it. He's getting some information from upstairs from his coaches who are watching the same replay we're watching.
Now,
the problem is the Miami ball carrier laying on the leg of the Falcon player?
Because if he is, he's not down.
That's correct. Williams is going to get hit, and he falls, but he's laying on. It's really hard to tell, and it was not called a fumble on the field, so it's going to be difficult to call that.
It's going to be hard to overturn that, given the evidence we have seen anyway.
See, he's late. He's laying on the leg of Jaquez Smith. The reason we're stopped here is not a review. We've got a Falcon defender that's down, that's getting medical treatment right now, as well as Damian Williams, who's up limping as well, the running back for the Dolphins. So 2 players being looked at.
Oh my, they got the Dolphins player to the cart. Oh, that's Williams. Yeah.
Well, remember, if you saw there at the end, it looked like as Daly was pulling him, or May was pulling him to the ground, he fell on his legs and was ripping at the ball. Looked like maybe his ankle got pinned underneath him a little bit.
Williams, a rookie from Oklahoma, and we certainly hope it's not serious.
I think they're going to go take a look at this, Randy. Looks like the officials headed to the delivery window.
Indeed, headed for the hood.
This is the one that bothers a lot of fans, though. Okay, you've been waiting. There's a couple guys injured.
Yes.
Why did you not go look at it while the guys were laying on the field? But now, and I don't know if that's a rule where you got to wait and then there's a declaration. You can see Damian Williams' right ankle pinned underneath
under
there.
May under. Yeah.
But again, for the sake of the fan that's watching at home, or for the sake of the fan that's sitting here watching the game and enjoying the action live, you'd like go evaluate the play while all this other stuff's going on.
And in no way at all are we saying, hey, just going about your business. There's 2 guys down the field. It doesn't matter. We don't mean that at all. It's unrelated in our minds.
Well, the one thing Smitty got there was because the players were down on the field. Smitty had a chance to wait and let his guys upstairs tell him, hey, is this worth reviewing or not? We're not inside 2 minutes, so it has to be a request from the coach to review the play.
Hey, when you're the head coach, you're in charge of the whole program, but I will always believe Mike Smith has a special place in his heart for defensive effort. That's kind of his MO.
Well, he gets mistaken as this happy-go-lucky guy that has no fire in his belly. I've been fortunate enough to be in some locker rooms with him. I had a chance to see him when things aren't going right, and believe me, the fire and brimstone comes out of this guy. I mean, he can flat get after you quick. He's got a burning desire to win, and he comes across as this nice guy, that your next door neighbor type guy, and he is a good man. But there is some flat fire in this guy.
Well, and I think, let's listen to John Perry here.
After reviewing the play, although there was a clear recovery, the fumble aspect of the replay could not be confirmed. Atlanta is charged with their second team timeout. The game clock will start on the snap. Ruling on the field stands.
So could not determine whether the ball carrier was down or not. So at that point, no definitive downer. They certainly saw that the Falcons recovered it, but the Falcons are a victim of just couldn't really tell.
Well, so the Dolphin defense maintains possession, 2nd and 4 here.
And that's a big sequence, Randy, because you're talking about if the Dolphins do punch one in here, extra point puts them up by 1. Now Renfrey is going to have only 1 timeout to operate with around the 2-minute warning.
2:45 on the game clock. Orlean Starkwell, the running back, beside Seth Lobato, the rookie quarterback who cannot handle the snap, and he is down back at the 14-yard line.
I'm not sure he got back on it.
The ball was coming out, maybe. Falcons say they have it. We'll see if that's true this time around. Yeah, Jordan Maben says so.
Wow,
Cliff
how about
Matthews,
that?
Ricardo Allen, Tyler Starr. Little celebration going on there. Nosa Egwe, is that the guy with the pigskin?
There he is.
Yep.
A year removed from playing for a national championship with Auburn, Nosa Igwe comes out with a big fumble recovery for this Falcon defense here late.
Good for that young man. Let's watch the play and see how it developed. We saw couldn't handle the snap, and right there.
And that's why they make it oblong like that, because you can't recover the thing.
It was Tyler Starr who got back there to prevent Lobato from controlling that ball when it was on the ground.
Yeah, Tyler Starr got in there and kind of bodied him up a little bit, and he couldn't cover it, and Nosa Igwe makes the play.
Sean Renfrey hands it off. The Falcons, who for a moment looked like they might be staring at a deficit, now still have the lead and the football. Gain of 1 for Josh Vaughn.
Here's another look at it from ground level. Starr sees the ball on the ground, gets in on the quarterback's back. He's not able to wrap it up, and then it's how hard have you worked in the offseason when you're at the bottom of those piles?
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Pardon the grammar.
Nosa Igwe won that one.
6'3", 269 pounds out of Mansfield, Texas. And as Arch just mentioned, Auburn. Well, as we all know, it's the Saints coming in here to open the season. The NFC South, the whole treacherous territory. Can Cam and Carolina keep it going? They won the division last year. Breeze and company, are they reloading? Got some new weapons down there. And is it a Lovey Fest in Tampa Bay? Lovey Smith, the era begins. He was hired in the offseason previously, of course, with the Chicago Bears.
Another guy that gets criticized for being too nice a guy. Lovey Smith, all he does is win. Does an outstanding job. But Brandon Cooks, the new slot receiver in New Orleans, is going to be difficult to defend. And Cam Newton now really developing into a top-flight quarterback.
As if Breeze needed more weapons. Let's put it that way. Falcons trying to run some clock here as they have the 6-point lead. And just for one moment, back to the demeanor thing. I don't remember Tom Landry throwing fits on the sideline. He won a few games, didn't he?
Yeah. It's a bit overrated. But here's a look at the regular season schedule, and New Orleans coming in week 1. And I think I had a chance to talk to Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator, yesterday. And I said, is there any eye cast towards week 1 while you're preparing for these preseason games? He said, absolutely. He says, there's no question about it. In my mind and in my room, I'm working on a game plan already to get ready for New Orleans.
Well, Falcons start with 2 playoff teams right out of the chute, the Saints and the Bengals. So they have to be ready. 3rd and 12. Renfrey in the shotgun. Clean exchange. Time to throw. Pass up in the air, up for grabs for a moment, so they'll have to punt it away. And Jordan Tripp slapping his hands there like should have had that one. And
well, he's the guy I mentioned earlier, Randy. Outstanding job here reading the play. Renfrey had to wait an extra count for Martino to come out of the break. Just didn't anticipate the throw, didn't want to throw it into coverage, trying to protect the football down there. By waiting, he allowed Tripp to get back into that zone area and extend that hand in the air and bat it away.
Kevin Fogg, a rookie from Liberty, is back to take the punt from Sergio Castillo's foot. Castillo gets into it. It's high. Fogg will have a chance to return from his 37 or 8 yard line. He's not quite to midfield. The punt was 50 yards. And Josh Harris, the long snapper, down there to make the tackle. We're in the 2-minute warning in the 4th quarter. Falcons hanging on to a 6-point lead. Minute 59, and this Falcons defensive unit once again has to stand the test against the Dolphins. That pass was up for grabs, and Sean Baker wishes he could have put the brakes on a little sooner after the pass went off the hands of Matt Hazel.
Good job by Maben. Maben undercuts the throw here, number 24, and really makes the throw a little bit difficult. Had the ball not been elevated, I think Maben 24 has a chance to intercept. So
he had inside leverage, you're right.
It actually forced a higher throw. So give Maben some credit there for being on the coverage.
2nd and 10 midfield. A little bit of pressure on him and immediately tackled is Orleans Darkwa.
Yalwin
Smallwood.
Yeah, Randy, I think you mentioned his name a couple of times here in the fourth quarter. But Smallwood, another one of those guys that can get after you.
7th round pick from UConn. That's complete as well. That's going to be, that's going to be close. That's short of the first down.
Remember, Miami working with no timeouts now. Will have to go on 4th down from a call from the sideline.
4th and about a yard and a half. Minute 12 to go. Clock moving. And that's incomplete. Falcons take over. Matt Hazel again, the intended receiver. Look at Harry Douglas. Who says the starters don't care what happens right now?
Well, they're pulling for their teammates, no question about it. And Maben, who dropped an interception, I said probably won't sleep very well tonight. He may sleep a little better. Made a couple plays here down the stretch that's allowed Atlanta to get off the field with a victory.
Well, we'll go inside the locker room, or more specifically, David Archer and Wes Durham will go inside the locker room after this game is over to bring us a reaction and the analysis from the players. J.P. Peterson will be back in the CW69 studios. And hopefully the Falcons can just kind of wind it down here after holding on 4th down as Renfree touches a knee.
Well, Randy, good start to the preseason. Get a win. You saw some good stuff. Ryan and his offense operated at a pretty high level. 7 for 7, shoves it in the end zone. They're off the field. You got out of here, it looks like, with minimal injury. Jacques Smith left the field under his own power, but it looked like he got out of here without any injury. That's a huge scenario. But I think you got a lot of film that you're going to be able to teach off of and get ready for next week. Houston, another nice test as you go to Houston. Good defense out there in Houston.
Now there's Dirk Cutter behind Mike Smith, and Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, who, of course, at one point in time was with the Miami organization a couple of years in 2010 and 2011 when Tony Sperano was the head coach. Mike Nolan's got to be happy about his defensive unit, especially here in the second half when the Falcons got the lead and then able to hold on. Joe Philbin and Mike Smith shake hands at midfield as this one's going to go in the books as a 16-10 Atlanta Falcon win. There's Matt Ryan, who came in for the first Falcon possession and successfully drove his team down the field once again. Our final score is 16-10. The Falcons win it over the Miami Dolphins. For David Archer and Laura Oakman, I am Randy Waters, and don't forget to join us next Saturday for our next Falcons telecast. That'll be against the Houston Texans at 8 o'clock right here on CW69. As the Falcons have to be happy about some of the things on both sides of the football accomplished in the 16-10 win over the Miami Dolphins. Again, stay tuned for Inside the Locker Room. Thanks for being with us from the booth upstairs here. So long, everybody.